Hello everyone and welcome to the Gamestars League for Brawl Stars. Stage 1 is all done and dusted and now we're moving on to Stage 2 where 8 teams have already qualified for international finals. Sadly we have to send 8 home, but now we've got 16 left in Stage 2 and we're going to try and qualify another 8 throughout the course of this week. I am Lethal, joined with Teddy. As always, lovely to see your face. It has been, a grueling 10 days of being apart, but we're back together again and now we're going to see we can try and get 8 more teams through to the international finals.
I'm excited about today's matches and also just in general this week. Sorry, I was muted, but we should be ready to roll. Now it is getting to this critical stage where, only 2 teams for each group are gonna move on, and since we only got 4 groups, that's only 8 more teams to decide whether or not they can go to the international playoffs. It is gonna be a long and bumpy road ahead of them, but I am sure they are gonna battle it out and really show us what they've got.
Yeah, I think we all look forward to it, as we can say, by any means necessary. And there's still a few notable teams that do need to qualify still. We had a couple of groups of death. There were some teams where, they weren't too bad, they were doing okay, but may struggle going to this next stage. But we'll have to see. It all depends what the groups are. And if you guys have been keeping track to find out exactly what the groups are and whose teams and what, then feast your eyes, because we will be going back through these groups again to see exactly what teams in which group, and we can probably comprehend exactly what to expect from some of them as well. It's going to be very dicey for some of these teams here, Teddy.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we were talking about the group of death just earlier, but some of those groups, man, there are insane teams that had to play out through this second round of the group stage that couldn't quite qualify directly. So those will be in the loose. They will be ready to pop off in this second round of the group stage. And, some teams are going to have to be really aware and careful about that. This is our group set. We have in Group A, Unima Gaming, Noble Elite, Module 7 Purple, and Chernobyl Dribblers. In Group B, Uchiha Clan, Big Clan, FA Kozaki, and Fight Club 2. Group C is Platoon, Team Activium, BB Army, and Golden Age. And then finally, Group D is Reply Totem, Max 2, Navi, and Bright. So a lot of heavy hitters still in the competition, despite 8 of them having moved on to the international playoffs. So this is why some of the really big names like Clash, like SK are out of the picture, but we will see them in the playoffs, obviously. All right, so going down to Group A, Unima, Noble Elite, Module 7, and Chernobyl Dribblers. We got some pretty decent talent here. I wouldn't say it's the most stacked group just yet, but I think it's a nice way to open things up. We've seen some good stuff from pretty much every single one of those teams, and I'm excited to see how they play it out in today's group.
Yeah, a lot of mid-tier teams, which also you could say there's a lot of best of fives which could go all the way. We didn't see that as often in Stage 1 because it was all up and down all the way over the place, because you've got every team from every tier. It's very hard to determine exactly who would go where and why. But going through to schedule and later on the results, Unima Gamer will be playing first in the best of 5 against Noble Elite, and then of course, straight after that, we'll see Module 7 against Chernobyl Dribblers later on. So, yeah, you are right. There's some heavy hitters still about. You've got Big, you've still got Reply Totem. I think Navi, I think MMA and the boys have been picked up by Navi, as you can see there from earlier compared to their last team. So, start to see some of these orgs coming into play to Brawl Stars still. It's great to see, just to help the scene improve even more as we go by in a competitive scene. But yeah, going back into Group A now, is there any teams for you in this which stands out massively in comparison to anything else? Like any favourites which you think to yourself, okay, one of these teams should just go straight through, and there's a couple others where you think may actually struggle to maybe even get to the decider match?
Honestly, not really. I feel like on paper, this is perhaps the group with the most, similar skill cap and gap, so there's not really too much of a difference between those teams. Obviously in practice it can go way quicker than we expect, but in theory we could have series going all the way to the 5th set in pretty much every single match today and overall in this group. So I think this is what makes this one really exciting as well, in their own way, because sure, you don't have the biggest names, but you do have some teams that can really give each other a challenge without really stumping them either. So I think this is a really exciting one. Some of the most picked brawlers for our players. As you can see, there are some familiar names if you are well aware of the competitive scene. If you're a bit newer to Brawl Stars, then perhaps you don't know those guys quite as much, but they've been here for a while. They've been competing for a long time, and they have yet to really shine in the spotlight. This group stage is going to be their chance, because going to the playoffs would be huge for them.
It certainly would do indeed. Looking at some of his heroes as well. Not really too much to say. Reliable, used the max quite a lot. Angel with the stew. It's a little bit more evenly matched compared to the 7-8 times you normally see some of these brawlers actually being used, but quite even across the board from comparison, because we have seen it quite a lot in stage 1 where, but they, some of them clearly have a favourite. Everyone has a favourite, but it depends on which game mode, which game type, what map you're playing on. There's a lot of things that take into account, but, a lot of it's quite even. A couple isn't, but we'll have to see like what bands do come out. It depends how much research these teams have done. I think all 4 of these teams, not just these 2 we're going to watch in particular coming up next in this first match, it's going to be very difficult for them. But at the same time, they're going to be feeling a bit relieved, because they could have easily had one of these heavy hitters take that first spot straight away and then try and ride the struggle bus into the decider match, or maybe even still get first place. It's a very, it's a tall order in comparison, but we'll have to see how the group pans out later on. But we will be going into the maps and modes, starting off with Rustic Arcade, and then we go to Turnaround, Open Plaza, Nuts and Bolts, and last but surely not least, it will be Hot Zone on Magnetic Field. So nice decent amount of maps there, but it all depends on how this matchup will play out. Because like you said before, Teddy, a lot of these teams aren't super high tier, but nowhere near low tier either. It's just the fact that these 4 teams in this group are very evenly matched.
Yeah, exactly that. If when we just looked at the maps here, and obviously I think only Nuts and Bolts is a competitive map. So if you guys are wondering what are those maps, we are not restraining ourselves to the competitive map pool, which does leave us with plenty more options to explore some maps that are scrimless as well, which does mean that adapting on the spot is really important. But here are our 2 bans for this match. We have Bell on the side of Unima and Noble Elite going for the Ember ban. I feel like Ember in a a single ban format is quite an interesting pick. You don't really see it a whole lot. It is still a decent brawler, like it does some pretty good damages, some nice control, some nice utility, but I don't feel like it's the heaviest hitter in the list. If you're leaving stuff like Barley, Stu, Max, Gene, those brawlers are just played out so much. I find it curious to leave Amber just as your only ban.
Yeah, I think I've only seen Ember maybe used a few times on certain Hot Zone maps, but apart from that, that's literally about it. I've not really seen it anywhere else being played. Yeah. In terms of Bell, again, yeah, standard, not surprised there. Can use Piper if you have to, or if you really want it, depending on if you want to play a certain type of range game on certain maps. So yeah, I think that's the first, off-meta or maybe odd pick we've actually seen from one of these teams. Normally it's the usual, Gene or the Max, or so not really too much of the Max, but the Bell, etc., etc. But it's nice to see a little bit of difference, a little bit of variety this time round. And we're just going to look at the comparison from a couple of these players. So for Angel, you can see there he's had 36 kills, 51 deaths, and looking at the side of Life Pool, he's got 28 kills and 50 deaths. But it's like you mentioned before, Teddy, on numerous occasions, and like we've said time and time again, sometimes it's not just about the KD or the damage. It depends on the role you do actually play, because some people will play that support role and will do all the damage in the world, but because you don't really have the assist to be noted, it's very difficult to kind of express exactly how well you're actually doing. It could be the fact that even though Angel goes neg 15, if he plays support, that's huge considering the circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. If you look in Brawl, for example, a good defense doesn't necessarily mean that you get more kills, but if for a whole minute you manage to hold your opponents up and recycle your own spawns quickly enough, you can still have immense value to your team. We are moving on, though, to Gem Grab, our first set of this match, and so far Unima with a small lead. They are rocking the Nani here mid, which is pretty much the favorite, and combining that with the Byron that can both get some nice shots from a distance and heal up Nani in the mid. I think this is a pretty decent comp overall, but Noble Elite managed to retrieve some center control and start catching up with those gems.
Certainly has done his trick, has pushed all the way forward there, just trying to add insult to injury, just trying to do that extra damage and take out one of the players on the side of Unima Gaming. But now they've been pushed back ever so much. But things have tied up here, Teddy. It is 4-all. It's only been 30 seconds. Spice managed to take out Reliable in the end, but Ray took out Trick in the process in another trade. But Lipo also took out Ray straight afterwards after he got that flag. So now you can see here that it's now 6-4. Managed to get the gems back up again, but they need to try and delay this as much as possible until they can get all three back standing and ready, because, you know, time is ticking here.
Yeah, absolutely. Only one gem is all that Noble Elite requires to start that countdown. We have the peep coming through. Doesn't quite find a kill as Angel Tense is able to tank it. Now, Unima, they can't give them any gems, but Spuse is able to pick one up. Countdown starting for Noble Elite, and now suddenly Unima, they need to find a kill on that gem carrier. Nice return to sender. No return to sender back from Unima. That is very interesting. It would have put him super low HP. I think that's a bit of a failure for Unima. Noble Elite, they steal this game away, and they kick things off with the game lead in set number 1. Impressive stuff on their end. I do feel like usually in that Nani interaction after the peep, you should be pumping your own return to sender because you want to send that damage, you know, back and forth and basically pick up the kill, be just, you know, safe, and then you're chilling, right? You stop the countdown. It's not exactly an ideal situation because your opponents still have their gems and they spawn, all that stuff, but you do have the man advantage plus 15 extra seconds to make something happen about that countdown. And if you can get the kill once more, then you have enough time to pick up the gems in the middle and tie things up anyways. So feels like a bit of a waste on the side of Unima. I think they could have played out that one better. But look at this, Spuse on the Leon. Leon is definitely not as bad as he used to be. It's still a brawler that does really struggle, but we'll find out how it does here. The first kill going the way of Angel Tails, and Unima gonna be kicking things off with the early gem lead.
Yeah, it's looking good for Unima Gaming here, but this is exactly what happened last time in that last game of set number 1. They did have that map control, but just couldn't hold it long enough in order to continue applying the pressure onto Noble Elite. But Angel does get the first kill, which is good stuff from him, considering the circumstances he put us on before. But he needs to continue this pressure. It's very, very difficult in certain circumstances. Trick, he's already taken quite a lot of damage onto that left lane, but has now just decided to hold back for as long as possible. But even again, Noble Elite still picking up those gems, making sure to keep everyone on the side of Unima Gaming at bay. So looking a bit difficult here, looking a bit tough, but then again, the trades are still coming through in this 2v2, and already nearly a minute's passed.
Yeah, Angel going down is not really the biggest deal. I would say it's actually quite nice. Oh, nice dodges from Raze. This could be enough to just keep the people away from him. Indeed, the gem count is going in favor of Noble Elite now. 2 gem different. Good snipe from Raze from afar. Spuse is on the right-hand side, is able to surprise him. Doesn't quite get the second kill as Reliable takes him out. But the gem count, once again, it was an early start leading for Unima Gaming, but Noble Elite, they are a bit ahead. It's only a 1 gem difference. Peep coming through on both sides. Oh, it doesn't find a connection. Instead, it's Raze to pick up the kill onto Livepool. That is going to drop those gems, but safely in that spawn from Noble Elite.
Yeah, we've seen there's a lot more discipline from Unima Gaming here compared to what we see before. We're taking a huge amount of damage here, but you can see down the bottom there, one of the players of Noble Elite just trying to at least stop him from flanking back and trying to have a passive stance, but Life was already taken out 1. The countdown started again for Unima Gaming, but you can see they're still just keeping Reliable and Angel back so much. Angel finally takes him down, but as you can see, it's still tied up here, Teddy. It's now they're trying to push them back. Finally, they can get that countdown started, but they need to hold this middle ground if they want to try and keep him away.
Yeah, the countdown almost complete. I don't think they can have enough gems. Indeed, yeah. This is gonna be Unima tying things up. I was trying to count the time it would take for a gem to spawn. It was just too late. Really just a matter of like a second or two and it would have spawned. But Unima are able to just push through with this one. It's gonna be 1-1 in this first set, which means that we already have a set, sorry, going all the way to game number 3. Honestly, an exciting start and pretty much sets the tone for this group where anyone can take it. Out of those 4 teams, I wouldn't be surprised to see any of them going to the playoffs today, and maybe any of the other teams going to the playoffs at the end of the week. So I'm honestly just thrilled to watch this kind of stuff, because at least you don't have any like super heavy favorites. Both teams very much stand a chance of taking this one.
Yeah, it's just very difficult to predict no matter what you say and what you can try and figure out here. You could do all the numbers, all the stats, and exactly how they've gone through, not just this stage, but maybe any other tournaments or community tournaments or whatever they've competed in. It is very hard to predict. You're absolutely right. But, you know, we like to see as many close games as possible. But between these two, it's going to be very tough. They're trying to mold, not meta-wise, but just trying to figure each other out in terms of like what they want to do and how they want to go about things. But Unima game, you can see the difference between that last game and this game was just the fact that, you know, there's a lot more discipline and a lot more damage done compared to that first game where it wasn't really as structured. But again, Unima gaming for the 3rd game in a row, got that early lead and got that early map control. And let's see if they can try and continue on and try and hold it if they can.
Yeah, it is a bit of a wider lead that they've had ever before, but we've seen them choke afterwards. Angel Tent's going to be quite low HP, will fall, but on the side of Unima, which does mean he still brings that gem back. Reliable is low HP as well. The super from Trick doesn't quite connect. We have a wide flank from the Leon as well that does get dealt with, but Noble Elite a bit more control right now. Will be slowly but surely catching up with those gems, although look at Raze, he has that peep available, is on the hunt, but there is a peep on the side of Noble Elite coming through as well. And look at that, the return to sender doesn't get returned by Noble Elite, and that means that Raze wins that encounter. Countdown starting already for Unima, and in about 15 seconds they could take this first set already.
Oh, this is so close. Noble Elite just needed one more of their players to try and help him got charged through, but now this is the perfect time to go in with that full aggression. Managed to take him down, and now they are going to try and pull back as quickly as possible. A few gems were left, but that's perfectly fine. As long as you get that map control and get remaining gems for the middle, that should be okay. But again, things haven't evened out as of yet. But then again, Unima Gaming don't have the early lead anymore, but did have that slight map control once again. Sadly for them two now, it's going to be a stalemate situation. They do have 9 gems, just need one more to pull back and have that passive structure which they've had in the previous game. But what do we have to do here? Nova will not, but Countdown has started once again as Trick is trying to do everything he can to try and push around. He needs to recover if he can, but Noble Elite would like to try and push, but I think they're going to wait for that next gem so they can try and start the countdown for themselves.
Yeah, they're actually going to get a bit more than that. Countdown of their own. And look at that, pretty wide gem lead as well. Unima, they can't just sit around the middle. They will need to pick up a kill on one of those gems carriers. Life pool low HP falls. Can they find Spruce? No, it's gonna be Noble Elite Roko to pick up this first set.
Yeah, one more shot that would have done it, but sadly for them it was back and forth. It was nice to see that second half of the game even closer than what we expected, and it's just these teams are just countering each other back and forth, reading what they're doing and predicting how the outcome could be as they go forward. I was a little bit worried at one point when they actually got the countdown right. I think it was the very first countdown they had, was the fact that, you know, by the time one of the players in the game was respawning, I think one of the players from Noble Elite were also trying to join them, but I'm glad they were patient and didn't try to start an early 2v3 and take unnecessary damage, because then it's just going to cause a cause for concern, and that wouldn't really be necessary in the slightest. So again, good patience from Noble Elite. Unima Gaming did have good discipline and continued that in game number 3, but sometimes their aim was just a little bit too off. They were trapped in a corner. There's no way for them to go. And they did make a good comeback, trying to stop them from regaining that map control and lead early in that middle half of that game. But towards the end, Noble Elite just barely managed to scrape by in that first set. So Noble Elite will take that first set 2-1. Still got potentially 4 more sets to go. And again, very close to the kills, the gems, the damage. What we like to see, Teddy.
Yeah, for sure. A very close affair. It is Noble Elite to pick up that set, but I just want to point out, Unima, they had such a terrific start in that third and final game of this set. And it came down to Noble Elite going all the way into enemy spawn to take out every single player for Unima and steal away all their gems. Quite an insane story to kick things off already, but we will be moving to turn around in Heist for our second set. A map that is really hard to play, to be honest. There's a lot of bushes, a lot of walls, a lot of stuff going everywhere, some teleporters. It's very chaotic, and I am excited to see how they play around that.
If you guys at home like messy, chaotic fights, then this is definitely the map for you, as we are going to go into the second set, like you just mentioned. And Noble Elite already at 1-0. They're going to try and hopefully continue this and increase their series scoreline, but we'll have to see. As already now, Ray is just keeping himself at bay to see if he can try and take out another player, but just misses out on the ricochet on the wall. But you can see on the other side, though, Angel trying to hold that left lane with all he can, but he's taken so much damage, he has to pull back. But Reliable managed to get a kill of his own.
Yeah, good stuff from Noble Elite early on. Have twice as much damage as Unima has managed to found. Spews pushing up, should be able to pick up Raze, but doesn't manage to miss that shot. Gets the follow-up now. We'll have a nice super. That's an extra 12 or 13% or so on that save. He's gonna wait it out, actually. I like that approach, because now he can connect on a player as well, get even closer to his next one, and maybe even someone can just close it out now. Yup, this is gonna be the first game going to Noble Elite, and now suddenly they have the chance to just widen up that lead furthermore, just double up on that solid head start they had in Gem Grab, because if they win the next game, they're already 2-0 in sets.
Yeah, that map was probably the most convincing map we've seen so far, or the most convincing game we've seen compared to the last one. And you know, with Heist, it can be very situational. You've said it yourself, this map can be quite chaotic. Did we, win for, a lot of surprises? I think we were, considering how, I wouldn't say it was more one-sided. You can tell sometimes that in the game we're just a little bit too patient to at ease, and you saw that there was no opening or no room for opportunities, anything like that. And I just felt like Noble Elite had that really well locked down. Good structure, good picks in terms of ballers, and how they pushed up and, tried to initiate any kind of pressure, just succeeded in their favor on numerous occasions. It's just a matter of if they can do it again, and if Unima Gaming can, come back from this, because that was pretty harsh defeat considering the circumstances. But I wouldn't be surprised if they came back by any means necessary, because we've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, I think there were some decision making mistakes on the side of Unima. I think that at some point they kind of decided to go for a base rush, and basically both teams just try to find as much damage and be the quicker ones. And then with some miscommunication, some people came back to defend, which did mean that they lost like 60% of their HP on save, and they only dealt about like 20. So it was just a really rough decision over there. Not ideal for the least, but nothing they can't come back from anymore. But it all starts by winning this next game. Otherwise, Noble Elite, they will be running away with a pretty solid lead. Angel 10 so far was a good fight, but he does not manage to hit that final shot. And now that does mean that things are going to slow down a bit for Unima on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, on the other hand, just the pace doesn't seem to go anywhere. They could pick up a nice kill there. Life Pool is there with the pinch. Raze is quite low HP as well, but he does manage to find some pretty solid damage. Nevertheless, Trick is able to get the finish, and having a Colt on safe is going to be a lot of damage coming through.
Noble Elite, as you can see, not changing their picks in the slightest. They're not interested in mind games or anything like that. Just want to stick to the mechanics and fundamentals and try and win this as default as possible. Sticking with, I think it was the Colt, the Jesse, and the Colette, I believe. And Angels managed to get a kill of his own. Trick traded him out straight afterwards. But there's a lot more damage coming through from Unima Gaming. It's a lot better from what we've seen, but this is the push they need to try and make now and try and do a little bit of damage onto that safe. But like you said, with that Colt in a defensive position from Trick, it's very difficult to do that. But finally, he has been taken out, and You can see their life pool is also trying to keep them at bay. Ray has had to pull back. Reliable's just waiting for Angel to make that next move, which he has done. Good teamwork from both Angel and Reliable there. And now Trick has to pull back again. Like you said, that defensive position of that Colt, just making sure that even if they gain a considerable advantage, they just can't push through.
Yeah, this 9 HP on the red save does mean that a couple of shots are just enough to take it down. Even if they could get something like a turret here, Unima, this would be their chance to come back, but they're taking quite a bit of damage. Life Pool is low HP as well. Trick was an important kill. Trick was a beam onto Raze as well, but Angel Tense is able to find another shot. 6% is all that's left on that red save, and a chance for Unima to come back in this set.
Trick was so tempted just to go for in the gaming safe, but he knew he had to come back because one of his teammates was so low. He didn't want to take the risk of them two having a sorry, 1v1 on that left lane. But it doesn't matter anyways. There's 12 seconds left to go. Still only 1% until that safe gets completely taken down here. Angel will get taken down eventually, but Trick may not enough time to push through. 35%, 32. Will they have enough time? Only a couple seconds left. Sadly, they will not. But good try, good comeback. No bullet to do. Some good stuff from them, just trying to hold that defense the entire time, but they couldn't really take any risk going for their safe because it was just way too little too late. Literally one trickle of damage from any one of those players would have just finished them off.
Yeah, it was just a really good head start for Unima, to be honest, and Nobly was just never really able to catch up with that. They were the ones getting a bit more damage afterwards, but that head start was just enough for Unima to run away with that win and be comfortable in that position. In Brawl Stars, you always have an advantage defending, or in the direct interactions, right? The risk with defending is that the fights are happening on your territory and that the objectives, such as, you know, save damage, is going to be easier to complete because there is going to be some more collateral damage. You know, if you look at the Jessie, for example, she can get some bounces both on the save and on the opponents, a cold super, same kind of stuff. So that's where it gets a bit more difficult, but purely in the fights between brawlers, it is going to be always advantageous to defend because you have a bit more room to wiggle around, fall back, and play around that, and it's your opponents that are walking towards you that are walking into your shots, into your max range as well. And Unima played off from that you know, situation very, very well. Coming into the next one, I really think, once again, it could go either way. Both teams have shown us some really solid stuff in both sets. I do feel like if Noble Lead run away with this one, it's going to be really, really hard for any momentum and the morale from Unima, because it does mean losing 2 sets, 2-1 in a row, and getting to, you know, a very critical situation despite having some extremely close games and sets before that. But if Unima win it, then we could be going all the way in this series.
Yeah, 2-0 in a series, you know, is not the greatest thing, but the fact that your opponents could potentially scrape by is even worse. But I think one important change for Noble is the fact that they switched out to Jessie for the stew, so we have to see if they can make that work, considering the circumstances as before. But let's have a look and see as we go into this final game of set number 2, as Noble Elite are up 1-0 in the series. They'll be looking for 2 if they can. And it's definitely going to be a slugfest considering all the games we've had over the last 15 minutes. But Reliable and Angel just waiting for the third to see Ray if he can actually push on forward. But done a lot of damage, managed to take one with him. But now you can see Reliable just going to clean up as well, with Angel holding that left lane. But look at that though, already Trick is going to go straight through into the middle with that stew to see if he can tickle him a little bit. He managed to be able to, teleports through, but Reliable's sitting there waiting for him. But will he be able to clean him up? Yes, he does. And already they pushed straight through, already done nearly 50% damage. That's a huge amount considering how quick it's actually been in terms of the game plan and what they wanted to do. But look at that though, 77% already done here, Teddy.
Yeah, that was quite insane how fast things got out of hand for Unima. They are able to get the Colt and the Jessie as well. I don't know what gadget she's running. It is a rapid fire. Is able to find quite a bit of value of this one. Look at that. They are only 12% behind Noble Elite. They thought, let's base rush this one. We have such a big head start, but solid defense from Raze on the right-hand side was able to just completely melt it down, and then suddenly they were in a tough spot. But look at that, enough damage to close it out, and Noble Elite, they run away with set number 2. What a close affair once more.
Oh, that was a shame from Reliable. He was expecting, I can't remember who was playing Stu on the side of Noble Elite, but I think Reliable was making the assumption that you can use that respawn immunity to push up on one of the other players from Noble Elite if they do push up, but pushed a little bit too forward, and you saw there the save got cleaned up momentarily. And it wasn't poor judgment or anything like that. It was just, you know, when you get put into that coin flip situation where you have to literally 50-50 guess what your opponent's thinking, of course, you know, you're not a mind reader or anything like that, but sadly, it was just the wrong guess. And you saw that. I think the only way he could have maybe held it is the fact that just play it safe and stay near that safe, speak of the devil, but sadly it just wasn't to be. But again, Noble Elite scraping by a second set. And you're right, though, from what you said earlier, you know, they are going to be a little bit demoralized, and they have to just try and reset their mindset and their mentality going into this next set, because, you know, these two sets could have gone either way, like no matter what anyone says. Like the fact that that last game could have been a base trade or anything like that, but then again, Noble Elite did have a very strong stance on the first game of that second set. And then again, I think the pick they changed in terms of the ballers for Noble Elite, switching up that Jesse for I was trying to think what it was called. I think it was for the Stu. I think at the time, literally was not just detrimental, but made a huge impact considering, like, you know, how badly it went in that second game.
Yeah, I think this too was a great idea as well. A lot more mobility to just dash into your opponents and have a bit of a different approach than a traditional heist brawler. As it was more of an assassin, just moving around the map, going in for single kills here and there, and being very much impactful for sure. I think this showed us some great signs as well in this set, because in this final game, the slightest mistake on the side of Unima was punished with like 60% damage on save from Noble Elite. So it does show this kind of high level Brawl Stars gameplay where any mistakes in the highs are going to cost you a lot. You have to be extremely careful, and Unima will have to learn from this one. We are moving on to Bounty now. Angel Tense is the first one to fall. Trick looking to follow up on it, but is gonna play it rather safe. This is a pretty interesting comp from Noble Elite. I really like the combination of Max and Poco together, just because you can provide a ton of healing, plus a lot of speed, so you kind of get super quickly into the face of your opponents, and then you keep getting healed up constantly as well. The Mortis is an interesting choice to go with it. To be honest, I don't feel like Mortis gets the most out of Max, but we'll find out how this one gets played out. Nice pull, but actually it's gonna backfire. Look at that. 2 kills going the way of Noble Elite, and Reliable is getting pinched as well.
Noble Elite are literally laughing at the moment. This game has pretty much been their playground for the last couple of minutes. And going into the third set, this is not something Unima Gaming wanted by any means. But what can they do here? How can they try and reset this situation going? I told them they need to reset their mindset going into this third set and potentially the final set now. And they're down at 9-3 already on this Bounty game. But Reliable has made matters a little bit less, you know, not as worse considering. Managed to get a kill for himself. And now Livepool had to back away, took way too much damage, but he's going to see if it can continue on with the coordination on the side of Noble Elite. But Noble Elite are playing a lot more aggressively, they're a lot more coordinated from what we've seen in previous sets, even though some of the times has been a little bit messy. But look at this, so Angel Tenses desperately wants to overextend and just try and push him back, but if he can, but he's going to get taken out there by Trick. Trick has waited for that moment for so long, almost manages to get a third. Instead, he just decides to, you know, play it safe. He knew that, you know, it's like Teddy. In those kind of situations, you do get very tempted to go for that third and final kill, but he knew that it was way too weak to even try and push up on that. And there we have it, though. Noble Elite won that game 17-8. Magnificent stuff on them. A good start to this third set.
Yeah, great stuff from Noble Elite, and now they can see the finals of this group in front of them, right? They only need one more game to make it true, and Unima, they need to win 2 in a row here to pick up this set and then win 2 more sets. So they have quite a journey ahead of them if they want to go to the winners match of this group. I wouldn't completely rule it out. You know, we've seen them win plenty of games and do some really good stuff already. The problem is Noble Elite has looked quite a bit better, anyways, right? They were able to close out those sets way more consistently, and now they only need one win to go to the winner's match.
Yep, every set's got a game through. Well, this one we'll have to see. Bounty, it can be very iffy sometimes to considering the game mode and obviously the map as well. It's going to be very difficult for Unima Gaming. The fact that they're 2-0 down in the series, and now they've got to try and come up with 2 games and 3 sets. It's again a big ask for them, but we'll have to see what happens going into this next game. But obviously Noble Elite, they're going to be pretty happy about this. They've had a dominant start in the last set, and they managed to close it out luckily in that 3rd game, but hopefully I think they're going to be telling each other now, but let's just try and finish this off now, because this is a kind of team where they could bring this back and just try and end not just the set, but try and continue on with that reverse sweep. But we've seen no signs of that yet, as we are going to go to game 2 of set number 3 and find out if Noble Elite are going to continue with a dominating performance in this set, or if Unima Gaming can maybe fight back and take this to a game number 3.
Yeah, Blue Star going the way of Unima, which does mean that they are the ones dictating the pace. They pick up a nice kill on Spoos as well. A bit more of a placement mistake on the side of Noble Elite, overextending on the right-hand side. Raze has the pull available as well, finds the connection, and that's just going to be widening up that lead furthermore as Noble Elite. It's a bit of a disaster for them. They need to stay alive as long as possible when they play with that Ruffs, because he's constantly going to increase your max HP. But if you're going to get pulled around and give them free kills on the sides of the map, then you're just going to lose that advantage, and in the long run it's just going to be really tough for you to come back. Trick does have the pull available. Let's see how he decides to use it. If he does, he's going to go for it, connects on Raze. It's going to be the kill, and now it's only a 2-star difference.
So they give Knifepool a bigger and bigger advantage if they keep trapping him into the corner like that with that tick. But seems to be okay so far, still being kept back though. It's very difficult to try and work around it, and they're trying to do whatever they can. But it looks like they are still going to try and continue playing that range game. So you can see Unima Gaming are up 5-3. Noble Elite still trailing behind by 4 stars now. And now they've got 25 seconds left. Have to wait for a little bit of time for the teammates to try and regroup, try and coordinate this push. But I think we're going to see it very shortly here, Ted. It's already now, but both players are going to go from that left side, waiting for him to go through anyway. Angel took a bit of a risk there, but Trick did take him down. One more should be able to do it if he can clean up at least one of them. But Angel using that respawn immunity to his advantage to do as much damage as he can. But will he be able to, though, as he tied things up? But it's over just a little tad too late, even if he ties things up. And speaking of tied, we've got another tied set again.
Oh my, we've seen a bit of a trend so far, haven't we? I believe that Noble Elite, they've always won the first game of the set. The second one goes to Unima, and then the decider goes to Noble Elite once more. This does mean that we have a bit of a pattern. We'll see if it happens once again. Unima, if they want to have a single chance at going to this winner's match, they are going to need to break this pattern. They've had 2 chances so far, none of them have worked out. This is the one. Honestly, I feel like Noble Elite played this one a bit sloppy, which they can afford to do because they have such a wide lead. But considering how close those sets were, if they do a couple more of those mistakes, it could really come back and bite them later on in this match. They want to be a bit more careful, I would say, because the 2 first kills were honestly just absolutely given to Unima. The Gene overextending, all that kind of stuff. If they played a bit more safe, it would have been less pulls on the side of Unima, so harder to really get a big head start. And also they would just have more HP, because going down when you have a Ruffs on your team, Ruffs kind of counts as like 0.8 of a brawler. It's not like really a full brawler, because individually he doesn't really do too well. Where he does really shine is the utility that he gives to his teammates, and that it enables him to have an impact in his teammates' interactions with the buffs, with the extra HP, all that kind of stuff. I feel like they had a much better comp all around. And look at that, Unima, they know it as well. They know they got a bit lucky that Noble Elite did some mistakes and that the comp was really solid on their end, so they're just gonna copy paste it. And now we have the mirror matchup as both teams are going for that Tick, Ruffs, and Gene comp.
Well, if they feel they've got a bit lucky in that last game, hopefully that would be a window of opportunity for them to come back in this series. But, you know, saying that, though, Noble Elite have been the trendsetters here, winning the third game every single time in each set. Will he do it again? That's going to be another story which will be revealed after this game. So, still got a minute 10 left. Nothing really too much has happened as of yet. Just a fight for map control here, fight for as much aggression as possible to try and be that person to push through and see if you can create an opportunity for them to maybe gain any kind of momentum between both these teams. So still got a minute left, still both teams still trying to figure each other out and decide exactly how they want to try and make this happen. And as you can see, Unima Gaming need to be the ones to force out this mistake. And looks like Unima Gaming does find a mistake. Ray does get the first kill, and already the passive structure from the side of Unima Gaming has backed away ever so slightly. So we'll have to see what Noble Elite can do to retaliate.
Yeah, once again, I believe was playing better, but they did do a couple of mistakes, overextending a bit, despite having a nice advantage regarding the buffs. The pool does connect onto Reliable. This is going to give the lead back to Noble Elite. They're able to retreat while taking another kill onto Raze, and now suddenly a 4-star lead. Unima Gaming, they need some kills, and they need them in the next couple of seconds. They are pushing up. The pool is going to be a miss on the side of Noble Elite. Aggressive super there finds a connection on Raze, and this is going to be it. Noble Elite take down Unima. 3-0 in sets, but oh my, were some of those sets close. Every single one going to 2-1, going to a third game. You don't see it every day, to be honest, that you have such a close match, but that it ends up being 3-0, and it just makes you figure a couple of games going differently. This could have been a sweep on the side of Unima, just because it was so close in every individual set. Unfortunately, that does not really reflect on the scoreboard in the end, and it is Noble Elite running away with a 3-0 victory. Overall, I would just say that, you know, both teams played at a very similar level, but Noble Elite was just a bit more consistent. They were just a lot more stable in their playstyle, and therefore had more consistent results in the scoreboard.
You're right, though. From what we've seen in a lot of those games, the only things we can pick out is the fact that Noble Elite seems to be coming out hot and, you know, seems to be a lot better on the get-go with their early aggression in a lot of those first games in the sets. But again, it's not really saying a lot. You know, Noble Elite, you said before as well, like they made quite a few mistakes earlier on, and then they managed to make up for it by, you know, rectifying that. Unima Gaming ended up having to try and copy and paste certain brawlers or certain setups or certain comps just to try and like rectify some of the mistakes they were making. But Noble Elite, you're right though. Like, you know, with the scoreline, it doesn't reflect exactly what actually happened during this series. It definitely could have gone 3-0 on the side of Unima Gaming. It really could have swung both ways. It was very difficult to kind of like grasp what could have happened throughout the series if it was a different day. But again, Noble Elite really showed their stuff. 3-0 wasn't convincing, but it was definitely enough to say, look, you know, we're here to, you know, do our absolute best. And, you know, sometimes when these teams are quite evenly matched, it's whoever wants it more. And I felt like sometimes on the side of Noble Elite, their structure, their, you know, coordination, their synergy, how they try and push up on certain setups or try and break certain setups just seem to be just a little bit better. But it's not asking a lot, but you never know. We could see these guys match each other again, possibly in a decider match on Friday. It just depends on if Noble Elite either qualify for the winners match today or if they lose it.
Yeah, they definitely got a shot at it though, as we saw the group earlier. Once again, a very even group. There's not really a team that is like standing out crazy much, or any teams where we know they're not gonna make it through. Well, so far Unima are the ones that are gonna be challenged in the elimination match. They can't lose any more matches in this group, or it's gonna be the end of their journey. A lot of gene pools. I did feel like we did have quite a couple of gene pool misses as well in that set, so that's something that both teams are gonna have to work around with and improve for the next time. Look at that, kills and death wise in the entire match, it's an extremely close affair. Only 20,000 damage difference and 9 kills difference. This is quite insane how close it is considering it's a trio sweep.
Yeah, it literally says it all. We saw it ourselves for that entire series. From what we've seen, observing, it didn't really look like it was too much difference. Okay, Noble Elite came out a bit hollow off the get-go in comparison to some of those games, which could cause them to have that extra 26,000 damage or the extra 9 kills. But you're right, though, when it's that super close, sometimes, it can go the other way around. Even if you get 9 less kills in a space of 9 games, then, that's literally nothing. That's almost 1 extra kill a game. It's almost nothing considering when you actually think about it from that kind of aspect. But, Unima Gaming, they're not out yet. They will be playing in their loser bracket match later on this evening. Noble Elite, they've made it through to the winners match, haven't qualified as of yet, but if they do win their winners match, they're fine, they're good, they're done and dusted, they're finished, they can go straight to the international finals and put the feet up. But if they lose their winners match, they will have to play the decider on Friday to determine who will be the remaining few teams qualifying for the international finals. So both these teams still going to continue on from the opposite ends of the brackets, but so far for what we've seen, stage 2, first group of the day, first match of the day, and yeah, looking pretty sweet.
Yeah, if this is a bit of a preview to set up the tone for this group, then I think we are in for a treat. Our next match is gonna be the second opener match, Module 7 Purple versus Chernobyl Dribblers, a Polish team versus a Bulgarian team. Both teams have showed some pretty solid stuff in the past. I'm really curious to see how they play this one out. I know both teams pretty well. I've casted quite a couple of events where they were playing. They were usually not really on the top, but it didn't stop them from having some pretty solid performances here and there. I think for both teams, the problem is a lack of consistency, and they're gonna need it today because they got 2 best of 5s ahead of them, and they want to make sure they win at least one to see that decider match on Friday. Jack, Caspi, and Angel 15 on the side of Module 7, the Hero 9, Nald 22, and Castillo on the side of Chernobyl Dribblers.
Yeah, I remember Hero actually from back in stage 1. He does seem to make a lot of game-changing plays, and they're the kind of players you would normally want on your team. They're the kind of they're the sort of players you always have in your team where you have one which has the X factor pretty much. And Hero did it quite a lot back for Chernobyl Dribblers in stage 1. I do remember his name cropping up a few times here and there. And just look at the Heroes just overall, again, going back to Hero, funny enough, Max 7 times, go to Nold, the Barley 6. But apart from that, the rest of it's pretty across the board in terms of evenly matched brawlers. So not really too much to say as of yet. Of course, everyone's got a few favourites depending on game modes, like I mentioned before. But again, nothing really sticks out apart from those 2 players. But let's have a look at the maps and modes, Teddy, as we're going to start off with Bot Drop. And then we're going to go to Bank Shot, Ring of Fire, Minecart Madness, and Central Traffic. So, a few maps there which you have to keep your eyes on and see what's actually going to happen. Because as you know, it's not the competitive maps. It's pretty much all the maps here. So it's going to definitely be a little bit of a struggle for some of these players, especially if they're used to playing highly competitive Brawl Stars. And, how different their preparation is going to be going forward. But, for a bit of siege to start off with, I'll be curious to see how things will pan out in the start of the series.
Yeah, absolutely. We have our bands ready as well. Bell on the side of Module 7, Poco for Chernobyl Dribblers. Interesting decision, but we are already ready to hump in. We have quite a comp here as well for Module 7, going for the B. Not something you see too often on this map. It's definitely a viable pick, but it's not easy to pull off. And this first siege bot is going to go the way of Module 7. Now, Nald and Hero quite low HP as well. They're looking for that bolt, but they're not able to pick it up, and that does mean that the siege bot is getting closer and closer to the Ike. No destruction available whatsoever on the side of Module 7, so it's not like they can open up that Ike area and remove those walls, have a bit of an easier access to land some shots, so they'll have to work around that. They found 24% nevertheless with a level 1 siege bot. I think that's pretty good, but we are all tied up for the next one. Module 7 though with much more control are able to bank the next couple of bolts, therefore the next siege bot, but it's all gonna be about the last one. Most likely Castillo wants that bolt. He knows that if they can have a good lead, it can make a difference, but look at that. Instead, Module 7, they get the siege bot and they actually get the bolt lead for the next one as well. If you combine that with keeping control afterwards, a good HP start as well as now this quite low HP. This is a really good stuff for Module 7. We need an impeccable comeback and retake from CD, but look at that, the bull is missed as well. A kill onto hero. This is looking really good for Module.
Definitely, even on the side of Chernobyl, like you can see there, Nold with the Pam, very, very aggressive, done a huge amount of damage on numerous occasions, just trying to force out the situation, but it just hasn't been enough. And because that's a tie, it's just going to make matters even worse now. 20 seconds left, just delaying the inevitable pretty much, considering. But yeah, 15 seconds left. Sadly for them, Module 7 will be coming out on top, but you know, good map control, good coordination. And like I said, with Noel playing the Pam, he did do a huge chunk of damage on just numerous occasions, but they just didn't force out the situation at all, didn't really make any pushes. And I've kind of felt like Noel was on his own quite a few times. And it's just one of those situations, really. Like, you know, they didn't really play the numbers game that well. One of them was always taken down on so many different times. It was just a bit of a shame, really. A bit of a sad start for them, but hopefully they can change things up a little bit here.
Yeah, overall, really well played by Module 7. I think that a big X factor as well was having the Crow on both sides. But for Module 7, they had no healer. Like, they had some heals from the Barley, but that's about it. Whereas Chernobyl Dribblers, they did have the Gene and the Pam, so the anti-heal had much more effect. And overall, gave a bit more of an advantage to Module 7, I would say. Especially combined with a B that deals a lot of damage. If you can have opponents that are getting slowed down by the gadget from Crow, plus they are, you know, under anti-heal 40%, that's quite a bit. And therefore, they were just able to pick up a lot more kills, have a lot more openings and ways to just navigate around that map. So good stuff from Module. I'm curious to see what the comp is going to look like for the next one. I'm expecting something different, at least on the side of Chernobyl. I don't think they should go double healer again. I feel like most likely they want to go for some longer range brawlers, maybe bring in something like a Piper. I feel like Gene could still work, but Pam, I don't know. I just feel like I wasn't really finding the impact on that brawler.
Yeah, you saw there he was just going to continue the aggression with that Pam, like I mentioned earlier. And yeah, it was a bit of a struggle. Sometimes he couldn't really get away once the damage has been dealt. And sometimes he just overextended. There was a lot of things you were talking about. And maybe switching to the Piper, like you said, will make life a lot easier for him. You know, one shot on his targets with a nice amount of damage rather than having to spray and pray and hope for the best on certain counts when he was trying to push, you know, that mid side of the map. It was very difficult for him a lot of times. But it's also just their coordination just overall, not even just about brawlers, because there's so many different occasions where they just got outnumbered and they just couldn't really pick up the balls, couldn't get the map control to push them away. I never felt, it wasn't really a dominating performance from what you saw on the side of Module 7, but I think the stats would definitely tell a lot more differently from compared to what we've physically seen, but we'll have to see. And, you know, the comp change, you're right, though. They definitely do need a comp change. Whatever they're going to select, it's going to be... you know, I'm not going to definitely change your judgment, Teddy, because, you know, you're pretty much right 9 times out of 10, almost 10 out of 10 a lot of these occasions. So I won't, you know, go against you in any way. But like you said, it wouldn't be too much of a surprise here. But we'll have to see going into this next map. But looking pretty good so far, like going into game number 2. But can Module 7 hold it? That's the next question.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be easy. Chernobyl Dribblers are a pretty solid team as well. I think that, you know, before... there used to be really 2 strategies. Either you would go very heal intensive on this map, or you would go for those sniper, those sharpshooters, you know, the Pipers, the Bells, even Brock, all that kind of stuff. But with Crow being so strong in the meta right now, and being viable no matter your comp on this map, it does mean that running those healer comps is a lot more risky because of the anti-heal. So it removes some of the possibilities. We have similar stuff, actually the same comp on the side of Module 7, and a very similar comp on the side of Chernobyl Dribblers as well. Hero and Castillo with some nice shots are able to find the first kill. The first bolt does go the way of Module. Nice slow from Null22 just to make sure he can make it out alive. This is looking like a tie for the first siege bot, and that's always a really tough story because whoever gets this siege bot here, if they don't have an amazing lead, it can backfire because the opponent team is going to have a big, bold lead.
Max playing so aggressively on that right side, and he did push through and got a trade earlier on, but I think he wanted a little bit more than that, as Noel now just pushing that left lane as well. He was previously on that plan, but he's made the switch anyway. So far so good though on the side of Chernobyl Dribblers, a lot better compared to the start they had in that last game. But I say the start, it was literally the entire game, and Hero's just trying to stay alive with that Max. He's going to get taken up that last shot from the Barley. Yes, he does. Still up 7-5 in terms of bolts, but will he be able to continue on as Nold is just being a little bit evasive here. He just wanted to try and delay that bolt as much as he can and then save it for the next one. But as you can see, the siege bot is coming in. Hero and Castillo have pushed straight on through. Nold is just playing catch up with him now. And what are the rest of the team on Module 7 going to do here? As still a fair amount of damage has been taken, but how much more can they actually do? Just taking it down to still quite a bit, considering almost down to 10%, actually down to 20%, which is plenty for them. They're going to be happy about that. But now Module 7 have 8 bolts to Chernobyl's 2 here.
Yeah, and since they just got all the kills in the defense, it does mean that they pretty much had free control of the center, and it's a very tedious journey ahead of Chernobyl Dribblers. I don't think they can really go for a dive with this comp, which basically means that Module 7, they are going to get this massive siege bot, and all they need to do is match the damage from Chernobyl Dribblers. So, sure, it's quite a bit of damage they need to catch up with, but with a Barley, if Angel can stay alive, no, he falls. This is a disaster for Module 7. I think they can still secure the win no matter what, just because of how big this siege bot is. But look at that. It's so close, 4% difference. Chernobyl Dribblers, they tie things up, and honestly, big mistake from Module 7. Angel on the Barley getting picked off easily. He's their heaviest damage dealer. He's the one that has the safest way to get damage on that Ike as well. You need to make sure he's alive. That's all you had to do at that point.
You're right, though. That was definitely would have been more than enough damage to will it down below, above that 4%. And it's a shame, really. They even got that early kill, as the siege bot was coming through. It was basically 3v2. If he just stayed alive a little bit more, leading up to that moment, it would have been fine. And even got to 3v1 at one stage. Just one of the players just respawned. And you're right, the Barley would have done that extra amount of damage in order to make sure that it's below that 21%. Sadly for them, I didn't really see exactly how that Barley died. I'm not sure if you did anyway. But it's just a shame that that instance even happened. Oh, that's a shame. It's typical, isn't it, really? That's what the crow's there for at the end of the day. But yeah, it was a real shame. They're 4%, they will be kicking themselves a little bit. But compared to, that last game, Chernobyl Dribblers, they did much better. Hero, I kind of felt like was playing a lot more himself, a lot more aggressively. Kind of played more to his style, what he would like to. Got a couple of trays. I think he kind of felt like he could have done a bit more here and there. But apart from that, though, a much better performance. And we'll have to see if they can come into Game on 3 with a much more of a cleaner performance rather than so much chaos at the start of that start of that second game.
Yeah, I have to say, I feel like Module played quite a bit better, to be honest. It's a bit of a shame for them that they couldn't quite close it out. They are going to want to be super careful around that Barley if they played once more, especially with the Crow. If the Crow has a super, they should be aware that he's probably going to go for a desperate jump onto the Barley. This is a good play from Chernobyl Dribblers, that's for sure. Huge impact of that Crow, but it does also feel like a big mistake from Module 7, because unless the Crow directly lands on you, in which case he would pretty much one-shot the Barley, they should have been ready to deal with that situation, because it was the only card that Chernobyl Dribblers had to make a comeback in that game and to defend off that level 14 siege bot. So yeah, it's something they need to be a bit more careful about. It's something they should know and they should expect to come true from Chernobyl Dribblers. They didn't quite have that in that second game, so we are going to go to a decider, and now it's really anyone's game for this first set.
Yeah, from what we saw from the performance of Module 7 at the start, we were like, okay, they could potentially become the trendsetters once again to see if they can take this first set in a dominating or convincing fashion, shall we say. But It's going to be a little bit more different now, as you can see from Chernobyl Dribblers, they're actually sticking with the same comp, or both teams are in that retrospect. But what difference can Module 7 make? In all fairness, it was only by a few percent, so both teams probably feel like they don't need to change too much in terms of comps. It's just a matter of how they try and execute some of their performance early on. But so far, first Siege, it's a tie.
Yeah, the tie always makes things really, really dangerous because mistakes are going to be extremely costly. Module 7 are in a good spot because they have a pretty good gem lead, and Chernobyl Dribblers, they do have control, so it looks like they will get this siege bot. But if Module 7 can just pick up 1, 2, or 3 more bolts, they could actually have a really, really big head start coming down to our third siege bot. Hero trying to fall back as a couple of bolts as well. And Chernobyl Dribblers, they're pretty much surely going to get this siege bot. Actually, yeah, they are going to get it for sure, never mind. But Module 7, look at that. They are going to have such a massive bolt lead. We're looking at a 8 bolt lead, I believe. That's super, super good. Now they just need to defend this one properly.
If they can, it's going to be advantage in their favour going for this next siege bot, but it depends on the map control they can bag after. Still a lot of damage done, but you know, I think they're hoping for just a little bit more, but 51% is good enough. We've definitely seen much worse. So the defensive structure from Module 7 wasn't too bad. It's just a matter of keeping this bolt lead. They've got 20 seconds. They need, you know, 9 bolt deficit, 10 bolt deficit now. Module 7 are looking very, very good, but Castillo is going to try and stop them from doing that. Hero's pushed so far up. He's done it on so many occasions. And Nold with the flank on the left lane as well. Much better stuff. It doesn't change the fact that, you know, they've got 13 bolts and the siege bot is going to be hell to pay here, but at least it stops them from getting any bigger. So let's see how much damage they can do as that level 13 siege bot is coming to the north towards there. So if they can, it's going to try and stop it. It's going to put as much damage as possible, but still, look at this, Teddy. Already been pulled back, only on just above 10,000 damage here. I think they'll be able to do it.
Oh my, the dive coming through. It's not gonna be enough, and what a defense from Chernobyl Dribblers. Module 7, honestly, they had way more occasions to close out this first set, as they got the final siege bot twice in a row that was successfully defended by Chernobyl Dribblers. I have to say, this final game just felt like everyone was playing better on both teams. The situation was better for Module 7 all the way until the end, and then Chernobyl Dribblers had a nice team wipe, which did mean they had some advantages regarding their supers, and they were just able to use them very properly in that defense, despite having dealt less damage on Ike than in game number 2. Chernobyl Dribblers, their defense was much more on point as well. On Module 7, they just couldn't find an opening. I think there were definitely some mistakes from Module 7 towards the end as well, with once again the Barley falling a bit early. Like, he went for a dive, but he's not really the one that wants to be tanking. His teammates should be. So yeah, this is a bit of a tough situation for them to lose in such a way, but it does mean that Chernobyl Dribblers, they pick up this set, and now they have a bit of a lead coming into the second set. A bit more momentum as well, with, you know, reverse sweep at the end of the day in set number 1.
Yeah, 57,000 less damage, but it's the objective which counts, as Chernobyl Dribblers managed to be able to rectify their mistakes. And, you know, that one comp change made such a huge impact. But not only that, but Nold and Hero did a great job sandwiching the opponents in the left and right lane, whilst Castillo was in the middle just trying to play support, making sure that they don't try and figure out exactly what his opponents are up to in terms of what they want to do. But it was just good execution. It's very, very difficult from both those lanes to try and sandwich your opponent, and they did it not with perfection, and not with the exact same time they would like, but it's still a lot better than we expected in terms of strategic execution. But, you know, Brawl Bank Shot, what's your first thoughts here, Teddy?
Yeah, it's an interesting map for sure. I haven't seen it play too much, so I don't want to go crazy on the comps. I do feel like overall in Brawl Ball, the safe way to play is going to be the Gene, Max, Sandy. I feel like it's still good pretty much everywhere. I believe none of those brawlers are banned. If I remember correctly, we had Bell banned from Module, and then Chernobyl banned the Poco. So no poker double tanks, also something that in Brawl Ball is really dominant. It enables you to end your games really quickly, uh, all while not really revealing any fancy comms. Because those two comms, one of the reason why they are so popular is because early on in something like a group stage or any bracket event, you don't really want to reveal any of your secret comms or whatever not until you really have to play them. And going for some of those more classic brawlers, it just means that you keep that information hidden for as long as possible. We do have a Surge coming in on both sides. It's a very interesting decision. Surge not really seen too much in the meta at the moment, but a good push from Chernobyl Dribblers. Gatsby is able to defend off for now. Nald 22 is gonna be stuck on the left-hand side, almost at an angle to shoot in that goal, but it is going to be a successful defense from Module 7. Jack going to get caught off guard by Hero. That does mean that Hero is able to pick up that kill, and he could get to the third stage of his Surge already. He's going to do just that, and now suddenly a pretty decent positional advantage in favor of Chernobyl Dribblers. Their Surge has a higher level as well. Jack is going to fall. Hero is going to max himself out. Castillo has a pull available, and things are kind of lining up here for Chernobyl Dribblers to get a nice push going.
Chernobyl Dribblers had a good defensive start. Now just trying to push up if they can. Castillo has been taken down though, but it doesn't matter. Hero went straight in very aggressively and managed to score the first goal for Chernobyl Dribblers. But how are they going to counteract that from Module 7? They looked so good in that first set, in that first game, but things are dwindling a little bit. But Ajol managed to get the first kill here. Now I'm going to be looking to go for that push as Hero's going to hold that left lane with Jack trying to counteract that and just continue with the damage. Castillo decided to push that ball back into the corner just to delay a few more seconds for the rest of his teammates to, try and at least recover and try and regroup if they can. But still, Castillo doing a fair amount of damage. Finally gets taken down. It took a while, but now Nold with that Barley's just going to keep his distance and trying to keep them away from this ball. But what is Nold going to do here? He so badly wants to try and go for that ball and try and push it back in any way he can rather than just leaving it in the corner. But could he be delaying the inevitable here? As Caspi's just moved back to that right side. But then again, look at this. Module 7 have been pushed all the way back. It took a while. It took a good 30 seconds. But will they be able to continue this as Castillo's back in the middle, trying to take out Cacti if it can. It's only on 792 damage. Hero is still there. The defensive structure and the setup was really good from Chernobyl Dribblers. And they will take this first game of set number 2, 1-0.
Good start here from Chernobyl coming into our Brawl Ball set. So far, I've been enjoying the map, to be honest. It's not a map I had really seen a lot before, and it reminded me a bit of Triple Dribble for the center area. So I definitely like that. I think the Barleys had a lot of impact, but honestly, I'm impressed by how good the Surges were playing on both sides. It was a very back and forth battle, going for some TPs in, some nice pushes here and there, and trying to catch off guard their opponents. I do feel like the Surge on Chernobyl Dribblers was able to do it just a tad better, and that was enough to make quite a big difference in impact between those two teams.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge amount there. All we can see is that the defensive setup from the side of Chernobyl Dribblers was good, but at the same time, it was quite slow from Module 7. There's a few times where they've had the numbers game, they definitely could have, grabbed it and trying to push it on forward, but I don't think they were too sure how and when they should do it. With that Barley, it can be a little bit of a pain, and you couldn't really see, a way for them to open up even further. If they played a bit quicker, a bit faster pace, increase the tempo to more in their favor, then we could probably see a lot more of a convincing performance from Module 7. But it's still early days as of yet. That was the first game of set 2. Hopefully they'll talk about that and try and fix things up a little bit more, because how many times would you see only one member from Chernobyl Dribblers just trying to hold the fort? We saw it a couple of times, and even with that respawn immunity at the start, when a couple of players did spawn, they were to regroup and then just carry on as normal. So maybe playing a little bit quicker could be good. Maybe a different comp, Teddy. There's a few things that they can make possibly change here.
Yeah, for sure. I do feel like Barley is really strong here. Jean is pretty solid overall. Surge, I'm not sure. I feel like it was very impactful, so I don't want to say like don't play Surge, because both teams did really well with the Surge. But it still feels like a brawler that is a bit weaker at the moment, so I feel like they could replace it easily with something like a Sandy. I think that Tick, for example, is maybe not the best brawler on this map, just because it's really hard to find a lot of momentum with a Tick, because it's so slow and you're really looking for some very still gameplay, holding some angles, and not really going too aggressively. So I feel like that could be something they could remove. On the side of Chernobyl, though, if Module 7 keep that Barley and the Tick together, Chernobyl, they could go for a Mortis, to be honest. Like, it would definitely be a viable strategy for them. Even from Module 7, they could really go for it. It's not the easiest with a Mortis against a Surge, but if you played well, you can definitely still win off those fights. Against something like a Gene and a Barley, it's a pretty easy matchups as well. So it does feel like a brawler that I would really like to see on either teams at this point, but we will find out shortly if they decide to go for something like that. Maybe stick for the same stuff. I wouldn't be surprised to see Module 7 just copy-paste the comp from Chernobyl Dribblers either. I feel like overall, the Tick was lacking a bit in impact compared to a Gene that does have those pulls, that does have the knockback as one, and a couple of different abilities that are just really well suited to Brawl Ball.
I think you've just answered my question there, Teddy. You know, I was saying why was the tempo a little bit slower than usual, and you went, "Yeah, it's the Tick." I was like, "Well, yeah, okay, thanks for the answer." Literally, it's as simple as that. But no, you're right though. Yeah, you know, it's not really an aggressive brawler. Like, you know, even on defense on the back foot, you know, what you're going to do when they get so close and they try and make an impact, it's very difficult to try and hold them off. Completely understandable. So I think you're right about the Tick, and I think you're right, of course, with the comp change as well. Absolutely necessary. If they copy and paste it or make a change, then you know it's up to them really in terms of what they want to do. But I think the Tick change you said is absolutely vital. Like, you know, talking about, you know, how it attacks and how it pushes and, you know, what you want to do with the Tick, it's not really, you know, one of the ingredients you should have on this map and this mode really. So we'll have to see if they have actually made this change, and it looks like they have, Teddy, so congratulations, you're right once again.
Thank you very much. They actually went for the full-on mirror matchup. So we'll see how that one goes. Jack with a good dodge using his super, but will get tagged back by Castillo. The first one to get a Gene pool could be what opened things up for those teams, and it seems like it's Castillo. We'll see how he decides to use that one. Jack was a great kill, which means he can push on forward, is able to find a double kill actually. The pass doesn't quite come true. It goes now. The pull from Caspi. Castillo is low HP, but oh, Caspi is gonna miss a shot. Hero with a great double kill as well is gonna be catching up on those stages. The hit and pull does not really do all that much besides giving a kill, which all things considered is quite neat, but because of the HP pool on Chernobyl Dribblers, they have to slow things down anyways. Caspi looking to corner up the ball a bit more. Hero going in, picks up the kill, might try something. The trick shot doesn't quite go as planned, and it is going to be a successful defense once more on the side of Module 7.
Love the flare, but it's not really flare if you don't execute it properly. I was a little bit of a shame there, but Castillo takes out Caspi very nicely there. Adriel actually trades out Castillo in the end. Ball is back in the middle almost. Just depends on when Caspi's going to try and pick that up. Jack was going to go for it, but decides to prioritise that left lane again and keep Hero away if he can. Hero's already taken a lot of damage. Jack is definitely after blood. He wants to try and force out the situation, but he can't now. That Barley being a little bit of a nuisance pushing forward, but he's finally been taken down. Caspi had to take down Nold, and Hero again just trying to keep Jack back if he can. He's lost a few of his 1v1 fights. When I say lose, not exactly been taken down in terms of kill, but just been out damaged here in that left lane with Nold. Just trying to keep them back and just trying to keep them at bay until they push for that ball. But Castillo's also trying to look for that opening here on that right side.
And often just having a bit more damage dealt is enough to push your opponents away, create a bit more space, find some new angles towards the other lanes. Nice pull from Castillo right before overtime. Those Barleys are going to start to struggle a bit more. We have two maxed out Surges for both teams here. That could be the difference maker. Super coming through from now 22, looking for some more control overall around that goal area. They have supers on both sides, so a good pass to Castillo could be the opener, but we could also see some pulls going either way. So far, a bit of a stalemate, despite Chernobyl Dribblers having a bit of a positional advantage. It seems like Module 7, they're able to get out of this tricky situation. It's looking more and more like we could be going to a draw here.
We really could indeed. We haven't actually seen that yet so far throughout Gamestars. And now 15 seconds left. Neither teammates actually want to try and push in, but Caspi finally gets taken down. This is the opportunity to try and push through, but no, Jack says you're not going to have any of that. Takes down Hero, but will he be able to stop it in the process? 5 seconds. It looks like it will be a tie. Yeah, Teddy, you're absolutely spot on the money. Neither player wanted to give either, opponent an edge in the slightest. And it's sometimes some players in that kind of instance, not that there's a panic button in any way, but like to try and force out the situation. But neither player did. I just felt like it was just a matter of which player was actually going to, be a cause for concern, or even try and force out a mistake from their opponent. But neither team really made any mistakes. Nothing even minor, just something a little bit minuscule there. And the only thing I'd probably be worried about going to this next game is the fact that I see a lot of the Jack versus Hero, on that left lane, and Hero's been out damaged quite a lot during that game. So we need to see what decisions Hero wants to try and make pushing from that left side, because Jack has been out damaging him so much, but just can't really clean Hero up considering the decision making from Hero.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this was much better from Module 7. They still need to catch up though, because one game is all that it takes for Chernobyl to go 2-0 in sets, carry on a lot more momentum, and then suddenly for Module 7 you're starting to rethink what happened in the first set, that they pretty much had it in the bag twice in a row and choked it, that things really got out of hand. And once you're behind by 2 sets, those things start to haunt you, and you start to really doubt in yourself and question everything that happened before that, especially for those teams that don't have the most experience. It's easy to get into that negative thinking, and it can definitely impact the gameplay. So things that Module 7 have to be careful of. They're not in that situation just yet. They could still win this next game here and start pushing things in a different direction. But I feel like the earlier they can start the comeback, the better, because momentum is not gonna be easy coming into the third set.
That certainly will be indeed. We'll have to see what changes they're going to make here. When we spotted the comps were the same, it seems to be a lot more evenly matched in comparison. Neither team, it was a bit weird because Hero and Nod were kind of the two players on the side of Chernobyl Dribblers, where they would like to, force out, what they want to do and, be the ones to try and execute. And normally Module 7 are the ones having to try and defend any of these pushes. But we didn't really see much of that. I'm not sure if it's because of the map and it's, because of the size of the map and, what they want to try and do and try and execute. It's a lot more difficult to flank or try and have any kind of game plan or strategic advantage in any way. So it might be, hurting them quite a lot playing on this map just overall. So I have to see, when we do go into other sets. But, still tied at the moment. I do believe that Chernobyl Dribblers did win the first set. It's tied in the second. The first game is tied in the second game. And we're going to see when we go back into it shortly to decide how this will pan out in this next game, because still very evenly matched. The last one was, even though it's a 3-0, ignore the scoreline of 3-0, pretend it didn't have, just pretend it's 3-2 or something. And then going into this one now, it could potentially be another 3-0. It depends what Chernobyl Dribblers do, and depends on how Module 7 are going to adapt and counteract whatever they want to do. But they seem to be adapting a lot better from what we've seen in other teams. It's just a matter of they can continue in that pressure, because I think a couple of these players on Chernobyl are going to be a little bit worried, considering they're getting out damaged when it's the same, almost the same baller picks.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like overall it's once again a really close affair, and I wouldn't be surprised to go all the way in every single set. I don't know. I feel like both teams really can make it happen. I feel like Module 7 is perhaps a bit better, but they're less consistent, which does mean that if they can't work on that, they will be losing just slightly more games than Chernobyl Dribblers. But when they play well, I do feel like they're slightly better overall. We will find out, though, as Chernobyl Dribblers have an early push going their way. Hero is going to be pumping that second stage. We do have the Sandy instead of the Surge, which was one of my suggestions from earlier. That is a decision from Module 7. It isn't working out too great so far. Jack is going to get pulled and taken out by Castillo as well. And once again, it feels like Chernobyl Dribblers, they are putting Module 7 on the back foot. They are the ones really initiating those fights and losing a lot of players left and right.
I do feel you're right now. With Module 7, even though they're on the back foot, there is elements in the gameplay which does shout, yeah, they can be a little bit better. Not just, with the basics, but in terms of how they fundamentally try and take down their opponents. But Jack has taken down Nold. This is now going to try and push up slowly. Hero has been pulled back. Hero's actually done a lot more damage this time around. Ever since that Module 7 made a brawler change, it's actually made a bit of difference for Hero to actually be able to be a bit more aggressive and try and dish out a bit more damage going forward with a sprinkle here and there. But Hero has tried to kick the ball away, but it's done it back to Jack. The engagement comes in. Castillo takes out Ajol, and now Jack is still on that right side, but Caspi is still with him here if they want to try and keep him at bay. But Caspi and Jack are completely split up. They can take out Jack here if they wanted to, and they do. Castillo helped a little bit, but it doesn't matter. Hero managed to finish him off, which shouldn't be a problem, as Hero once again does a lot of damage on Caspi. And as I say that, it's actually taken down Ajol in the process. It's just a matter of trying to push that ball down towards south, towards that goal line, to then maybe win one or a couple more fights, maybe a clean up, and then be able to push that in. But 35 seconds left so far. Still got a little bit of time, including Sun and Death as well. But as I say, that Nold has been taken down by Ajol.
Yeah, I just want to point out and add on what you were saying earlier between the Sandy versus Surge matchup. I feel like for the most part, individually, the Surge is going to have the advantage. Great pull, by the way. But the utility from the Sandy is where the difference can be quite big. That Super just provides so much to your teammates, whereas Surge is a bit more of a selfish individual brawler that just, you know, focuses on his own stuff without really looking into the team too much. Thickhead does get dealt with, but Ajol is going to fall to the Thick Mines. Nevertheless, push coming through the pass to Castillo. The pull from Caspi doesn't quite connect. Castillo does connect his. It is a close affair, but he wins the fight. Module 7 are able to break through on the left-hand side. I don't even know where the ball is at this point. I think it... Is it cornered up on the left side? I think it is.
Yeah, I was trying to see myself actually, because I was like, they're making a massive, there it is, it was in the bottom left corner, they were making a massive push, but I was like, well, okay, they've got the map control, but they haven't got the objective to go with it in the end. But 22 seconds left, we could see another tie here, Teddy, potentially, but maybe not after Ajol has taken down Hero. He's trying to back it away. Jack passes it back to Ajol. Will Jack be able to try and get it and actually be able to get it into the goal? It's going to be a different story, but in the end, Hero's the one who actually has it on the goal line, but he pushes it back to Nold, and Nold has to kick the way back into the corner. He should be okay. He's got a few seconds left, yet he should be perfectly fine. Teddy, for goodness sake, it's another tie in the same game. We just can't separate him, Teddy. It's, you know, we're trying, but we're doing our absolute best. But you are right, though, like we said earlier. Module 7, I feel like the elements of their gameplay is a little bit better, but somehow I just feel like Chernobyl Dribblers always come out on top. Well, not on top, but either tie things up this time around again and come out top sometimes in some of those games. But absolute madness. Have you witnessed 2 ties in a row before?
Oh, I've seen some crazy stuff back in my days. Actually, a couple of days ago, like maybe about a week ago, we had 7 draws in the same set of Brawl Ball.
Wow.
So like, it was a game of like 10, basically 10 games in one set. Absolutely ridiculous stuff. You only see it in Brawl Ball pretty much. Like, you can technically draw in Gem Grab, but it's insanely rare. You can draw in Siege, you can draw in Heist, but it's just not very often that you see it happening. You can draw in Hot Zone as well, by the way. So yeah, those things do happen. By the way, a fun fact, I don't know if you know Little, but you can actually draw at 0% in Heist as well. So if both teams take each shot, like if they go for base rush and have the same exact brawlers and hit every single shot, you can actually have both saves being destroyed at the same exact tick, and then it ends up being a draw at 0% on both saves. Not so sure, you know, how or why that's a thing, but it is. And Brawl Ball is gonna be the game mode where you do see the most draws coming through, especially on maps like this where the defensive area near those goals is really, really solid, and it's really hard to break through that. So it is gonna make it much easier to defend and attack, which, you know, since it's already kind of the case in general, it does lead us to some very defensive positions for both teams. And the middle area, it's really easy to pick up a kill here and there and kind of slip through and move on from there, but it takes a long time to get near the zone where you can actually capitalize on those pushes and turn it into a goal. And this is why we've been seeing so many draws already. I wouldn't be surprised to see 1 or 2 more draws in this set. I'm hoping not, because in the end, you know, getting some successful results out of a game is a bit more exciting to me. But look at that, we have the same comms. Chernobyl Dribblers are going back to the Surge instead of the Tick, I believe.
Yeah, that's absolutely spot on so far. So I have to see what we can do with that Surge and see if we can make a bit of difference in comparison. But yeah, the highest thing, I've never experienced that before. Like the amount of laddering I've done, I would have thought I'd have witnessed it at least once. Brawl, of course, you know, plenty of draws in my time as well. We'll have to see if the draws are going to continue on. We'll have to see. But AJL does take down Nold. Castillo gets to trade, and Jack is going to try and decide what he wants to do. But if I already pushed straight through here, it's oh, that was a little bit dicey, but I think they had the confidence there, knowing that Nold was going to be able to stop him in his tracks. But so far, so good. And both these teams are level pegging once again. It's going to be a stalemate situation as Jack will pass it back to AJL. But AJL doesn't need to pick up as of yet. Just using that ball, positioning just to keep it back for Chernobyl, maybe even delay some of the attacks. And Castillo is just looking for that push towards Jack, but Jack's kept him at bay. Castillo's taking down AJL in the process. Caspi and Jack want to try and get away. They have done, well, you could say I've taken a little bit of damage there towards that centre half, and Castillo's passed it towards Jack and maybe had to clean him up here, and instead Nold does take down Jack with that Barley.
Yeah, so far a bit of a stalemate once again. Bit more control for Chernobyl dribblers at the moment. Castillo has his bull available as well. Hero is maxed out and has a spare super as well. So Chernobyl dribblers was a bit of an advantage, but Caspi is going to be the one to initiate this fight. Was a pool does get traded out. The push is slowly coming through here. Hero looking to move forward. Oh, he tried to self-pass and TP, but it doesn't quite happen here. Now the 22 though is able to pick up the trade in a 2-on-2 situation. Now Castillo does have his pool available, and we're getting closer and closer to overtime once more.
Yeah, we're waiting for these inconsistencies. I think the trades from both these teams are really, really good. It seems like Chernobyl are the ones who like to try and force an engagement out first, but you know, Module 7 are just very well experienced and knowing to try and trade it out when they have to. Hero on that right lane, just pushing the ball up just a little bit, just to see what they're going to do straight after this, but it doesn't matter. Jack does clean him up. We are going to go to another overtime here, Teddy, and we'll see what Jack, AJL, and Caspi are going to do. Even though they haven't got the ball, they're still trying to play a little bit more aggressively as they're going to push up, do a little bit of damage, a fair amount of damage here, as Nold had to push all the way back with that Barley. And Chernobyl aren't looking too good in terms of stature of their health. And what are they going to do? How are they going to try and push on forward? And one of them's already been taken out, so has Castillo, and Hero's been taken out. So surely that is going to be a goal for the side of Module 7. Took a little bit of time there, Teddy, but finally we managed to separate the two.
Yeah, we do, but it does mean that we time things up in this set. It's 1-1 anyone's set, but they need to win this next game. Yeah, it's been a bit of a stalemate this set so far. Even the games that were won by a certain team, it did, you know, go really all the way through to at least the end of the timer. That was for game 1, and then game 2, obviously and win 2, it was overtime. Honestly, it's a really, really close affair. I think that it's a bit of a similar situation than our first match of the day, where if Chernobyl dribblers are the ones to close things off, they should be able to close out this entire match, just because it's really heartbreaking for Module 7 to lose 2-1, 2-1, and you know, especially with those games being so immensely close. If you look at our first match of the evening, at least, you know, the matches like the match was close, but the individual games weren't like always the closest. Here it's been a very different affair. Every single game in this match has been insanely close. We have a bit more of the same. The Surge is gonna be falling off here for Max on the Hero. Both teams are going to be rocking that Max Sandy Gene now. Kind of the go-to comp at the moment in Brawl Ball. And we'll see how that is going to be. I think it's going to be better because without throwers, there's less defensive advantages you have from sitting behind those walls. Look at that, the push coming through. Nice stuff from Module 7. They're the ones to kick things off.
I was just about to say, with that change from the Surge to the Max on the side, I think it was Hero made the change for Chernobyl dribblers. The tempo of this game should be much, much quicker in comparison to before. But now, Module 7, everyone's on the back foot again, but it's nice to see a very early push and an early goal. It's the first time we've seen that during this not just this series, but in this set. As Chernobyl dribblers are the one who normally makes the push or tries to make the instance happen first or the situation. But Castillo, he needs to try and see what he can do. He can finish off Jack thanks to Hero making a great flank there. And Caspi knows he has to back away. But will he have time though to be able to push him through? He actually passes him. Caspi now has been delayed a little bit. The ball's been pushed into the corner and it gives Module 7 a lot of time to get that map control. And they can keep the ball back all they like because they've got to try and waste at least a minute on the clock in order to take this game and this set 1-0. But of course, Chernobyl dribblers, they know that even if they get a clean wipe on all 3 players of Module 7, they still got to go for a second one picking up this ball. But it looks like Jack's already done it for them.
Yeah, Castillo down to 15 HP, but does survive off that assault. Pretty nice from Module 7 that they are on the aggressive despite already having the advantage anyways. We have a push coming through. The shot isn't gonna go through not 22, and that does mean that Chernobyl dribblers, they pretty much have a final shot at making something happen now. But look at that, HP wise it's not amazing. Nalt might be able to pick up the double kill, he will not, and that does mean that Module 7, they are the ones attacking him with only a couple of seconds left. This means that Module 7 close out the set and push things to set number 3.
Yeah, that was much better stuff from Module 7. A lot more structured, organised. You name it, they pretty much had it in that game in comparison. And Chernobyl didn't really have any answers or too many ideas on how to try and recuperate and try and regroup and try and actually push things through. But again, much better from them night and day in comparison to the previous sets or the previous games in this set in general. It takes them a while to adapt. But they've got to remember that, you know, they haven't really got like 6 games to try and adapt into it and win the set. They've got to be a little bit quick on the pace for the adaptation on some of these game modes or some of these sets. But like I said, a lot better, maybe feeling a lot less pressure now that they've actually tied the series up 1-1.
Yeah, so far it's been a close affair. Both teams struggling in both sets to really set each other apart. But Chernobyl dribblers, they did it in Siege. Now is Module 7 doing it in Brawl and getting into a bit of a better position coming into set 3 with some momentum as well. Some good games and reverse sweeping this set. It's a bit of a reminder as well from our first set where it was Chernobyl dribblers that reverse swept Module 7. This time around, it is Module to get the reverse sweep. So better stuff on their end. Overall, just a really good performance from both teams. But I'm excited to see in the next couple of maps if maybe they're able to open things up a bit more, because we've had some pretty still games in that set.
95 kills just in that game alone. Absolute madness. And as you see there from the stat line, damage a lot more in the favour of Chernobyl dribblers. Is literally the opposite effect from what we saw in the previous set. But finally, the second set has been done. Took a little bit longer than usual, but we saw there Module 7 did come back in dominating fashion in comparison. So it's very good from them. So we are 1-1 in the series. We are going to go into Hot Zone Ring of Fire as set number 3. It looks like we're going to get at least 4 sets going into this. Maybe a 5th set, depending on the circumstances of these next 2. But very curious to see how Module 7 are going to play, because they do seem much more organised in comparison to these previous 2 sets. And Chernobyl dribblers, they're going to have to try and rectify some of the bits they want to do in order to, you know, contend with someone like Module 7.
Yeah, it is going to be a tough affair. Ring of Fire is a map that just came back to competitive, by the way. We had some changes to the competitive map pool. So it's exciting to see how the meta is going to be around this one. I think that a really strong combination for this map is something along the lines of 8-bit with a Byron to kind of handle the middle area. Maybe something like a Barley on the side. Mortis is really solid because there are going to be a lot of squeaky brawlers on this map that you can just take down very easily as a Mortis. Other brawlers that stand out are going to be Lou, just because of that zone from his super that just gives him so much control. You can also think of Sandy. What else? Let me think. Jean is also a good idea. Ems can be played. B. A lot of options overall. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some pretty crazy stuff. I think that Poco being out of the mix is gonna make sure we don't see any like double or triple healer stuff, which would also be viable on this map. Honestly, the possibilities are pretty much endless. Let's find out what they decide to play. We have Barley, Sandy, Jesse on the side of Module 7, and then the Stu, 8-Bit, and Crow for Chernable Dribblers. I would say that overall, that doesn't give too much of an advantage to either teams. I think that once Chernable Dribblers can get a damage booster, which Null just gets right now, it is going to be a bit of a better situation for them because of the extra range and damage from the 8-Bit.
I just feel like Module 7, sometimes in some scenarios, they just find it a bit difficult to control the aggression. If they were the aggressor and made the side of Chernobyl Dribblers be the ones who have to try and work out how to keep them back, then it might be a slightly different story. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, Module 7 seems to be better at adapting. It's just a matter of Chernobyl Dribblers being able to continue to flank, to continue to put the pressure on Module 7 and to, you know, let them do the equation of working out what they should do in order to push in. But Hero did go for a nice little jump there, but Caspi was more than ready for that, as they've both been re-healed thanks to Jack. So Castillo now trying to do a bit of damage, trying to push a little bit closer. Module 7 still up by 60% now, up 37% deficit, and we're still looking for an answer from the side of Chernobyl Dribblers. So you can see one of the players from that 8-Bit. Jack's actually taken one of the players down. I think that was Castillo, and Hero jumped in, but Caspi once again takes him down. AJL did get taken out in the process, but trades aren't going to cut it here, Teddy.
Yeah, now Chernable Dribblers, they need some convincing engagements. Otherwise, it is gonna be a quick game for Module 7. Now, they have a bit more control, a pretty nice setup, although a lot of damage coming through from Angel. Why are they stacking up against a Jesse right next to the damage booster? Not entirely sure. It just leads to some easy bounces. I think that they can just close it out here. Indeed, Module 7 with the lead once more in this match. They had the lead at some point in Siege. Ever since that first game, they haven't had the lead ever before and ever again. And it is gonna be them picking up the first game here in Hot Zone. This is a really important set because it does mean that the team that picks it up once again gains an advantage and is only one set away from victory, from the winner match and all that good stuff that those teams are fighting for here. So it is super important, I think, especially for those teams that aren't quite like tier 1 and competitive. It does also mean that momentum is a bit of a bigger factor because they have a bit less experience, they're a bit more emotional, a bit more involved in what's going on, and it's a bit tougher on them to take a loss. So taking all those factors in consideration, this set is extremely important because it just gives you a bit more momentum and an advantage coming into the final set, which you need to qualify. So I feel like Module 7, this is a really important one for them. They've had a really tough match so far. Remember in Siege, they were winning and then they basically choked 2 games in a row and gave away that set to Chernable Dribblers. Let's see if they can close it out in this one and push things to a 4th set, or if it's going to be Chernable Dribblers to take back the lead.
Yeah, Chernobyl Dribblers, I said it in the Brawl Ball game and stuff like that, but they didn't really have much room to, you know, sort out any kind of variety of like strategies going forward. They have a lot more room this time around. They still really couldn't do anything, which is kind of one of their strengths at one stage. Like in that first set, you saw it clear as day, but now it's a little bit more different now. The coordination from the flanks they're trying to make with Nord and Hero isn't as good as it used to be, and I think in this Hot Zone matchup, especially with the comp picks and that, it's not really being that favourable against them. So even then though, that's what we were talking about before. With Module 7, they seem to be a lot better when they've got a kind of passive structured setup, like defensive setup, and if they get that Hot Zone early, then it's just going to be a world of trouble. And it always seems to be Module 7 are the team who have to try and adapt to what kind of crazy play that Chernobyl Dribblers are going to make next. And every single time that Chernobyl Dribblers have tried to, you know, pushing through anything like that, it's not been in sync with each other. It's been quite separated. Just, you know, some good pokes here and there, but just not enough to kind of get some of these kills going. But we'll have to see if it's going to be any different, especially with the tick on Castillo. And there's quite a few changes here to the comp picks, as you can see today.
Yeah, Kekpai is going for the Mortis as well. Mortis is not going to be the easiest to pull off against this comp from Chernobyl dribblers. Amber deals a lot of damage. Jessie has quite a bit of burst as well, and her turrets are just a big problem for Mortis. So it seemed like Chernobyl dribblers were quite ready for this one. But look at S. Caspi just swoops in, picks up 2 low HP players. Castillo is going to have to pump his gadget. Honestly, feels like maybe a bit of a waste because Caspi is able to pick up the kill easily. Anyways, Caspi still going in, able to get another kill. Hero is low HP, and Module 7 was a pretty decent lead already. Honestly, Caspi on that Mortis has been putting in some solid work.
So Caspi's been playing utterly, immense, amazing. This has been absolutely on par, just using his initiative just to make sure of it. He can do so much damage across the board. A completely different style of play, and Chernobyl dribblers just weren't ready for this at all. They weren't ready for just so much aggression going through, and they might have taken them down now, but it's just a little bit too late, as finally Module 7 does get a very clean game number 2 in set 3, and yeah, a bit of a surprise there. That one comp change made a world of difference. But not only that, but Chernobyl dribblers just weren't ready for the, fast tempo on the side of Module 7.
Yeah, it was a completely different base, bringing in that Mortis. And honestly, I'm all down for it. I think it was a very good decision, very wise decision from Module 7 to not just keep playing the winning comp, but actually go for something a bit more surprising and try to turn things around. And they certainly did that with Caspi on the Mortis, just absolutely popping off, getting kills left and right, and constantly providing some nice value to his team. This means that Module 7, they are able to pick up this set. They have the set lead now, and things are setting up pretty nicely for them to take this whole game. For that, obviously, we'll have to see how set number 4 goes. But I feel like with this momentum, and actually the first set that is quite convincingly going the way of any team, things are lining up pretty nicely for them.
Yeah, that's right, Teddy. Looking fabulous for them, and compared to earlier on, Module 7 are probably riding that wave of momentum. Chernobyl scratchers thinking, oh god, what else can we do? They've kind of figured out how we played, and it's only taken them a couple of sets to then go, right, let's try and jog on and try and get something sorted. But Module 7 looking very, very good. Much better compared to that first set, like I said, where it was back and forth, but it was just a game of Module 7 adapting around Chernobyl dribblers, and the Chernobyl dribblers just playing a very aggressive style, and they don't seem to adapt. They just hope for the best, that they can probably take down their opponents as quick as possible into this series. And if they don't, then it's pretty much said and done. But we are going to go into Minecart Madness and see if Module 7 can continue their winning streak. Up 2-1 in the series, when they're looking for a third if they can. And the winner of this will go into the winners match to play for a spot in this international finals. But whoever loses this, it doesn't matter. They do have a second chance to qualify, so it won't matter too much. But we'll see what happens, as already Caspi's done a fair amount of damage onto the right side. Jack has done a good job cleaning things up and already got an early kill lead, which is giving them that map control for the Gems.
Yeah, so far a decent start from Module 7. Hero dashing in, looking for Jack, but they are going to trade each other out, actually. Caspi was a bit of an HP advantage, waited to reload a couple of shots. Going for some longer range shots, I like that. Has the pull available, it's going to be returned. But now with only Caspi with a pull available, this is pretty good for Module 7. Hero is going to fall as well, and Module can get a bit more gems that are laid out on the ground already. Now is going to get traded out after he picks up a nice kill. This does lead us to, once again, a pretty decent gem lead in favor of Module. They're on 8 already, need 2 more to get that countdown started.
That's right, only a couple more left until they're able to, but you saw the Hero very aggressive, is on his own there, so probably the wrong play to go straight into 3 and hopefully get a trade out. But sadly for him now, well, the side of Chernobyl dribblers, they need to regroup and try and push forward, but we've only got 10 seconds. It's not going to be enough, as Jack and Caspi are well away here, trying to get as far away as possible. We've only got 5 seconds. Hero did take down Ajar, but will it be able to take down Caspi or Jack in the process? Only a second left remaining. is not going to be enough, as we're just in a nick of time. Module 7 take the first game of set number 4. So this is going to be match point for Module 7 to go into win this match.
Yeah, I just want to point out a play towards the end from Jack, I believe, on the Max to. So basically, the crow jumped on him and he dashed exactly at the frame where the crow landed. So because he's invulnerable during that dash, he took 0 damage and basically wasted that crow super. Was ready to deal with him as soon as he landed, and honestly, pretty hard to pull off as a play. It's not really easy to get that timed exactly right. Crow doesn't stay in the air for a long time, and having a nice prediction like this definitely paid off towards the end and saved the countdown, to be completely honest. So good stuff from Module 7. Match point on their side. They have just won 3 games in a row now, so things are lining up for them. Things are looking good. Now they just need one more game to close it out. We have seen them choke in the past. Remember that first Siege set. Is it going to be similar to that coming up next, or can they actually close this one out? That's the real question, right?
Yeah, exactly. All the stars are aligning in the sky. It just depends on Module 7 can now ride that wave and clean this up, because they've been looking so good and so much better. Like Chernobyl, I don't want to say they're down for the count, because the consistency is just getting a bit too much now. Because we see, I think in the Brawl game you saw earlier in set number 2, it was back and forth. There wasn't really any inconsistencies with Module 7, because every push for you saw the Chernobyl dribblers made, if it's Hero going from the right lane or Null trying to clean up or go for any trades. Module 7's trading ability is so good, which means their coordination is definitely up to scratch. It's just a matter of the fact that on the side of Chernobyl dribblers, they just can't break it. They can't really, figure out exactly what else they can do in order to try and break the setup. They're more wanting to go for these flanks or over extensions rather than grouping up and pushing as a team. But, we have seen that a few times, it's not really all been flanks and individual abilities and trying to push on through on your own or anything like that. They just like to enjoy making the first contact, but you need to follow up with something else each and every time. But we haven't really seen that every time, which is causing these big issues for Chernobyl dribblers. But still got a bit of faith in them from what we've seen in that first set, but it just looks like Module 7 are looking better and better every time. The more a team adapts, the worse it's going to be for you. And if you're the ones who are going to try and force out something, that's just not going to work eventually. So it's just going to be one of a domino effect where, Module 7 could take this 3-1. But we'll see, though. We'll see as we go into the second game of set number 4. It is going to be match point for Module 7. Will Module 7 be able to take this, or Chernobyl dribblers be able to survive and push on forward?
Yeah, that is going to be the challenge for Chernobyl dribblers if they want to get back into this match. They definitely need to win this next game. Actually, the next 2 games. They are able to get a bit of a gem lead early on. It's not the biggest difference, but it's enough to put them in a bit of a more comfortable position. We'll see who gets the first pull. Castillo has it available, but now Caspi joins him up. A pull on either side here could really change the ties of this game. Caspi up close, connects the pull as well. This is huge. Castillo gonna get pinched by Angel next, and now we have a really solid gem count on the side of Module 7. This pull could have changed this game as Hero is pushing up. Jack is able to dash back from safety. A bit of a more careful approach from Module 7. I think they're waiting for another gene pull to really open things up and try to grab one of those gem carriers on the side of Chernobyl dribblers. Caspi has the pull available now. If he can find either Hero or Castillo, that's pretty much a counter on security. He's going to go for Nald instead. I don't mind that approach because it is an opening, which does mean that he has a bit more room to navigate through the map and pick up a couple more gems. But the next one, once again, they're not really able to get it. And now suddenly Chernobyl dribblers, they're going to take the lead.
Certainly will indeed momentarily, now up by only 1, but they want to try and keep them at bay so they don't try and collect any more when the countdown drops. As Hero again, not overextending, but just being a bit of a nuisance, showing that map presence on that left side. The countdown has begun, and now they're looking to see if they can push on through. But you've got to be careful with some of these choke points, especially in the middle. But Agel's on his own on the right side. The flanks coming from the side of Jack and Caspi in the middle. Would have been able to clean up here, but Nolda's already taken down one of the players, and would have even take out one, which they do now. So Chernobyl dribblers are the ones who now have got the gems back and collected. This is not good here, Teddy, at all, as Agel will be coming up on his own. He has to, just because of the fact that he needs to force out the situation. Hero's going to try and back away from Jack if he can to try and pick him off, but it doesn't matter. Jack takes down Hero, and Chernobyl Dribblers barely from the skin of their teeth able to take that game.
Yeah, it was a good game on their end. We had a good pull from Module 7, but after that, it kind of fell apart, to be completely honest. I think things just started getting a bit more heated. They never really managed to take back center control, and therefore they were stuck on 6 gems for the longest time. Chernobyl Dribblers able to capitalize off that very well, taking the lead, getting some solid positional advantages after the countdown started. Sure, it got interrupted once, but they were able to retrieve all the gems, get into an even better situation. So overall, really well played by Chernobyl Dribblers. They need one more if they want to tie things up and push things to set number 5. We will find out soon if they can make that happen. It's a close affair once more. It's still a match point for Module 7, so keep that in mind, guys. Only one game going their way in this set, and they are going to the winners match. But once again, they need to get there, right? They need to get that win, otherwise we are going to set 5.
So they will indeed, and we haven't seen many set 5s in the last couple of weeks, Teddy, so it'd be nice to see one. But now that we've said that Module 7 are going to be the ones to completely stop us from seeing that, but we'll have to see. Comp-wise, it's going to be a mirror matchup. This could be Chernobyl Dribblers' last game, or will they take it to a set number 5? It's just going to be exciting back and forth in every single game, as Module 7 did win 4 games in a row. And finally, Chernobyl Dribblers have countered back with a game win of their own. But they've got to be careful with this momentum swing. We don't want to go a little bit too far too deep and then get a little bit too excited here. We need to play as structured as they did in that last game. But for what we've seen so far, Module 7, a very strong start from then, just being a little bit more patient compared to before, and also increasing the tempo, just trying to wait for Hero to try and catch him off guard whilst he's pushing it forward. But Module 7 looking very good. Module 7 now,
right,
to see what they can do here, but there you go, Teddy, I'll let you crack on.
My bad. Module 7 was a pretty solid gem situation going their way, but we saw them earlier. Once they lost control, they struggled to take it back, and Chernobyl Dribblers were able to run away with that one. Now Caspi does have the pull available. He's gonna miss it on a Hero. Good dodge on his end. Caspi low HP. They do manage to clear it up eventually. Now 1 gem is all they need for the countdown. They have it now, but look at that. The gems are all spread out across all 3 players from Module 7. Chernobyl Dribblers, 1 kill, no matter who they manage to pick off, and that is going to be enough. But the minecart is there at a very fortunate timing. You see with the pull to Caspi, that is going to be 7 gems dropped down. Only Jack left alive. Can he make something happen? I don't really feel like he could. And they are able to pick up that 1 kill. They are still behind in gems. Caspi does have the pull, does get pulled himself, but the minecart will actually save his life. Can they stop this one? Oh my god, it's so close, but they can't find the right kills. And Chernobyl Dribblers, they steal yet another game. Honestly, such a shame for Module 7. They've had so many opportunities to win some of those sets, and they choked it way too often. Now it's on our way to set number 5, the final set, and both teams can't afford any more mistakes.
Well, headbutting the cart doesn't help, I'm not going to lie to you, Teddy, but no, that wasn't the main root and cause of it. I want to see what happens towards the end when it was on the side of Module 7 when they had the gem count, because one of the players did push on forward. I think they were just trying to at least even things out a little bit more, like, you know, they were trying to like keep them at bay. But I was gobsmacked because of the fact that Chernobyl Dribblers, they were going through the middle, all 3 of them were in that choke point, and I was like, surely this is going to be it. This is going to be, you know, it for them in the series, and it's going to be on the side of Module 7. I'm just gobsmacked on the comeback and flabbergasted that they actually managed to get away with it. It was absolutely ridiculous. But Chernobyl Dribblers proven us wrong, that they've still got some fuel left in the tank, and now just going through the stats of that set, as Module 7 now are up were 10,000 damage. Looking at the kill counts, only by 3. It's been very, very even across the board in every single set, and I look forward to see the overall match series stats later on at the end. But yeah, it's very hard to separate them both. Module 7 seemed to be the team that seems to be adapting a lot better, and Chernobyl Dribblers were just on a downward spiral. But yeah, Chernobyl Dribblers looking much better, stopping that 4-game streak from Module 7, got 2 of their own. But now we are going to go to a 5th and final set here, Teddy, to try and separate these 2 juggernauts.
Yeah, both teams have been fighting for a while now, not really able to stand out as much as they wished. This is, however, going to be, the final set, so there's no more pushing things to an extra set. This is going to be it. It's going to be Central Traffic in Heist. Quite an interesting map as well, not a competitive map, very bushy, a lot of walls as well, but not a lot of cover around the safes. So the middle fights are really important. I've seen all sorts of brawlers being played over here. I've even seen some Spike getting picked up. Colette's also a popular pick. That's about all I remember, because once again, it is not a competitive map, so I don't pay the most attention to it in general. But yeah, those were 2 brawlers that, especially the Spike, I thought really stood out because you just don't see it being played pretty much ever. So yeah, hoping to see some Spike. That would be pretty fun.
It's going to be a weird one because, like you said, because this map doesn't really get played that much, which is fair enough. Yeah, it's just going to be an absolute slugfest. It's just going to be absolute chaos, mayhem, carnage. We won't be able to predict it because, like I said, because these teams are going to struggle to prepare for maps such as this. What are you going to expect? It's going to be very, very difficult. If it was a map in a competitive scene, I'd feel like Module 7 would have a slight advantage on that. But because they don't, they're going to have to try and use their initiative and try and figure out what they can do here. So this is going to be the final set of the series between Module 7 and Chernobyl Dribblers. It is game number 1. It is 2-all, and this is going to be the deciding set to see who exactly between both these teams will be going to the winners match. And already a trade has come through, 2v2, and Chernobyl Dribblers have that center control.
Yeah, so far we have a bit of an advantage for Chernobyl, as they have a bit more control, are able to get the first couple of shots on save, but not anything too crazy just yet. I like the M's mid. I feel like it's a very decent strategy. I think that Max should be a bit more consistent against the Ember as well on the right-hand side, but so far Caspi has been doing a pretty good job at holding off on it. Nice super from Null. That's going to be some extra damage. He's going in for the kill onto Angel. Can't quite pick it up and falls himself, but look at the HP pool. It's so low across every single player. Angel picks up a hero. 2-on-1 situation. The chance for Module 7 to perhaps go a bit more aggressively, but Caspi's not even able to hit his flames onto Castillo, and that's going to be a bit of a shame for Module 7. Castillo low HP, but still alive. And now finally Module 7 with an opening going their way. They're going to let Nald slip through, which does mean that they need to deal a lot of damage because he is going to be a lot more consistent. So far, so good for Module 7. Caspi almost able to find Castillo as well. Actually goes down, a bit of a choke, but look at that. They're able to close it out anyways. And we have our 3rd match point coming up in favor of Module 7.
Yeah, AJ on that top left side with the Barney. Even if one of his teammates got taken down, he would have finished it anyway, no problem. It was so weak at the time, he was perfectly fine. But good stuff from Module 7. Again, a little bit too slow for my liking in terms of how they want to push up. If you've got the numbers, just go aggressively straight away. You can, regroup later on with one of your teammates, going forward to the middle or wherever he spawns, depends on the situation. But yeah, but I like the fact that it's still well structured, but still the tempo just needs to be a little bit quicker, because against teams like, for example, Chernobyl Dribblers, okay, maybe it's okay to do something like that. But against some of the tier 1 or high tier 2 teams, you're going to really, really struggle if you if you win certain bouts or certain group fights and you take so long to try and push up afterwards for the objective. It can really change things a lot here, but hopefully they'll watch these VODs back anyway. That's if they win this series. It's going to be another talking point. But Chernobyl Dribblers, they had a very good early start. They were doing a good job just tickling the save here and there, but it's just not enough. They really need to show a lot more promise here in comparison, which they did do in that last set, in the set before. But it's going to be a little bit different now to see if Chernobyl Dribblers can rectify some of the minor mistakes they made going forward, or maybe even some comp changes.
Yeah, that could very much be possible. We had almost a mirror matchup in this one. The only difference was the Ember for Module, whereas Chernobyl went for the Max. I feel like Max, if she can get up close, which on this map is very much possible, I think it's a bit stronger because in her face, she is going to win those matchups. But actually, both teams going for the exact same stuff. So we'll see if they expect the results to go differently here. Angel gonna get pinched off by Hero. Big over extension from him on the right hand side, and that does mean that Nald is able to get a couple of shots to connect with that safe.
Yeah, good stuff from Noel just to make sure that they can at least do some damage on the safe after that nice engagement from Hero in that right line, like you rightly said. And it's good so far. Same as what happened in that last game. Good early control, especially around mid. And Castillo and Hero just holding that middle side just to see if they can push him back further. But Caspi and Castillo have traded each other out in that right lane. Noel just is keeping his distance, trying to keep Jack and AJO away. But all said and done, as Hero and Castillo have rejoined in the action and have regrouped. But AJO's so weak here. He's just trying to re-heal if he can. He should be okay, shouldn't be an issue. Definitely kept his distance, but Nalda's going to try and fight for that left lane again. But it just need to be a little bit careful. I know Snowball dribblers do get, a couple of players do get a little bit too excited and just overextend. Caspi managed to take out Castillo in the end. Hero was so desperately wanted to chase him down, but as he got around behind and on the spawn, has taken a bit of damage onto that safe. Now only up by a few percent, but as I'm saying, that's still doing a fair amount of damage on that top right side. It could be going for a base trade here. They're all trying to push on through, but look at the damage count so far to the 48 to 58. Still going to push a bit further. Angel takes down Nald in the process. Castillo trades out to Jack. And now Hero and Castillo are looking to try and finish off this safe. It is going to be 2v1. They're prioritising the safe rather than their opponents, just due to the fact that there wasn't really much HP left on the safe. But 8% so far to the 35% of Chernobyl dribblers, and it doesn't matter as Chernobyl dribblers do manage to tie things up, and we're going to the final game and the final set here, Teddy, of this series.
Yeah, double match point coming up. Whoever wins this next game goes, I was going to say home with a victory, but actually they will go to the winner match. The loser of this next game will have to go through an elimination match next up. So it is quite a drastic difference, because in the winner match, you're looking at either qualifying for the playoffs or going for a decider. If you lose here, you're gonna be either going home or you will have to play a decider. So some very different perspectives, and one game is gonna be separating those very different results. Honestly, I don't know, man. I feel like Module 7 has played better overall, but Chernobyl dribblers, they've been choking a whole lot less, and I feel like maybe they have a bit more closure than Module.
Chernobyl dribblers, I just feel like it's just a lot of very silly mistakes which they just should not be making in competitive play, like very silly mistakes. I feel like the mechanics and fundamentals and their aim is very good, but if they had that in relation to something else, for example, like adapting to other teams and having a lot more of a strategical elements against other teams, then they'll be a force to be reckoned with. And they're still playing really well even now. And you can see a few comp changes here and there from both sides, and we'll have to see what Chernobyl can do here. Can they try and end this series after being almost knocked out in that fourth set, or will Module 7 be able to close this out on the fourth match point in this series?
Yeah, this is absolutely insane. As you rightly said, we had 4 match points for Module 7. If they choke all 4 of them, honestly, that would be a bit of a sad story for them. So far, it is Chernobyl dribblers with the early lead. They are in a bit of a better position as well, as Jack is quite low HP in the center. Good gadget from Angel to just assist with him so that Jack can both keep control of the center while healing up. Hero is going to be pushing up, though. Caspi is just not ready for it. Going to get completely surprised. And now suddenly a nice opportunity to find some damage. Now it survives with 4 HP as well. A bit of a disaster. And look at Hero just going absolutely ham damage-wise. This is looking like the end for Module 7. It isn't just yet, but they do have a pretty decent lead. Angel has been getting some pretty nice damage down from afar, which could be enough for them to be in a position where they can still tie things up, still reach. That hero is gonna fall. He's still quite low HP as well, but his super is gonna enable him to get a couple more shots down. Angel doesn't want to tank this one apparently, and that does mean they take a bit more damage. Module 7, they're not out just yet, but things are looking grim on their side.
Yeah, Chernobyl dribblers individually are so skillful at the moment in terms of like their ability and what they want to do, and just try and use their initiative on so many different occasions. Individually, they're great, like I mentioned before this last game. But now look at this, so Chernobyl dribblers have already taken even more damage, 32% to the 21. There is 30 seconds left, so there is a bit of time as Caspi is trying to force back the situation from the Chernobyl dribblers on the right side. You can see that one of the players, Castillo, is just trying to stay alive. That's all they need to do, is just keep their opponents at bay. And Hero's done a great job. That's a fantastic way to start things off. But Ado Castillo taking out Caspi. There's only one member left standing. That's pretty much it, pretty much done and dusted. And Chernobyl dribblers, fantastic comeback from them. Module 7 had 4 match points and just could not close out that series.
Yeah, man, what a story this match has been. Module 7, they had 4 match points, couldn't quite close any. 1 was enough for Chernobyl dribblers to seal the deal. I think we are heading towards a quick break. I believe the highlights will be after the set-specific highlights, so I'll keep talking until then. Honestly, we've had some really impressive stuff from both teams, but it was Chernobyl dribblers that just had a bit more closure. And at this level of play, closure is so important to just end things with a win.
Yeah, it was a great stuff from then. It was so close in every single set. It was a great way to go into another series. The first one was very good, but this one just completely nailed it. As the team on Chernobyl dribblers are going to be very happy with their performance. Again, I'm going to stick by what I said, a few silly mistakes here and there, but they're just they're not showing off in any way, shape or form. It's just more the fact that they've got a lot more individual flair, and you can see that Module 7 want to play that more composed, structured team fights, which they seem to be a lot better one. That's why you saw them do a little bit better on I think it was on Brawl Ball and the third set as well. But look at the damage though, literally 10,000 difference, and considering the amount of games they played in that series, it's just ridiculous there, Teddy.
Man, both teams were just so hard to separate. Honestly, how many games have we even had here? I think that every single set went to like a third game except for one.
Yeah.
I believe that's how it went down. So that's almost the maximum of games, actually past the theoretical maximum of games, because we had some draws as well in Brawl Ball.
Yep.
So yeah, absolutely insane stuff. Long match, but well-deserved win for Chernobyl dribblers. So good stuff on their end. They just had a bit more closure. Were able to end things here in this final set.
Certainly have done indeed, but that is only the second series of the day so far, guys. We're only at the halfway point. We've just done 17 games in one set, which is ridiculous. I'm sure there's been way more in the past, like Teddy mentioned before. But before we go into the next set, we are going to take a small break. So enjoy this little highlight package from the last series, and we'll see you in a couple minutes. And welcome back to the Gamestars League 4 Brawl Stars. I am Lethal. Joining with me, as always, is Young Man, which is Teddy. And we've just seen two incredible series. The last one, it couldn't have gone more the distance, even if it tried. Went to the full 15 games, plus the two sudden deaths, which ended in a tie in that Brawl Ball in the second set. So 17 games overall. It's been a weird one so far. Every single set we've seen has gone to a game 3, and it's hard to tell some of these teams apart, which is what's been so great. And this is what we expected compared to stage 1. But we're going to go to our next series, which should be an absolute slobber knocker here, Teddy.
Yeah, this is the elimination match for Group A. The team that loses this match is going home and ends their journey in the Gamestars League. Honestly, it's so hard to tell those teams apart. They have played at a very similar level in their respective semifinals or opener matches. So I honestly don't know, man. I feel like it could really go either way. I don't recall them playing against each other in the past, so I don't really have any past data to look at and take this into account. But yeah, it is what it is. We'll have to see how that goes down. We've had some insanely close matches so far. I'm expecting more of that coming into this elimination match.
I love that for Module 7. I didn't even notice that before. Like Agel's got, in terms of his picks, Sandy 7, Barley 8, Jesse a measly 1. So yeah, he's got a few favourites. He's got a few bans, which definitely on the side of Unima Gaming, Unima Gaming they can actually ban, which is quite hilarious. That's probably the most one-sided picks I've seen so far. Like obviously, you're not going to see like 9 or 10, but we never know. We've seen some weird things in the past, like we have done in the last couple of sets today. But yeah, in terms of popular brawlers, not really too much to say. Angel with 6 on Stu. I've already mentioned Angel with a 7 Sandy and 8 on the Barley. It was pretty mad. Caspi 7 on the Jean, Max on the 7 as well. So yeah, we've got a few favourites here and there, but that one from Angel was absolute madness. But as long as he's rocking and he's still winning, then it's all that matters. As I do go into the maps and modes, starting off with the Hot Zone with parallel plays, and we'll move on to Siege for Bot Drop. And then we've got Brawl Ball on Encirclement, and then we've got Bounty on Canal Grande, and then we've got Heist with the Mortuary as the final set. So what do you think between those two so far from what you've seen throughout the last couple of matches, Teddy? Anything in particular? Do you have any kind of favoritism which you feel like one of these teams could go through once or not? Because Module 7, I've been looking pretty good, but it just seems a bit weird. They fell a little bit flat in some of the games earlier on.
Yeah, I feel like Module 7, once again, it's going to be the question of how consistently can they play at this level, because I think they played really well. I think that overall they played better than Turnable Dribblers in their match. They just really choked at crucial times, multiple times in a row. Like they choked 4 games almost in a row, right? 4 match points. That's just a disastrous scenario for them. Like you can't really have many more match points than that, can you? They had everything lining up the entire time and just couldn't have any closure. They will need that here against Unima, otherwise it's going to be the end of their journey. Ruffs is the ban for Unima, Bell for Module 7. The Ruffs ban is surely because of parallel plays. It is the map where he's the most OP because the zones are so far apart that you just end up going to your zone with the Ruffs, with all 3 players, and you just, start leveling up. Mortis is a lovely introduction from Module 7, will enable them to get a tiny bit of an early lead. Now Caspi has his super available as well. Reliable is quite low, so he could try to swoop in, find some nice value. He's able to pick up the 1 kill. Reliable is low HP as well, and things are looking pretty good early on here. Oh, Caspi trying to go for the kill a bit late perhaps, and that does mean that he ends up going down, but not without giving a bit of a lead to Module 7 early on.
Yeah, good start from Module 7. I'm sure they've got plenty of stamina, considering that very long, drawn-out series. There's only 1 series, so I'm sure they'll be okay. But so far, so good from both teams, really. Nothing really separating them both, apart from a few percentages here and there. Unima Gaming looking a little bit better now, trying to control those zones, especially the one up above. Just trying to re-heal before that Mortis comes in. But it doesn't matter. Caspi does get taken down by Ray in the end, and we know how good it was with the Mortis before. Jack gets taken down by Ray again, so a double from Ray. Great stuff from him again, and Caspi finally comes in with that Mortis second time round and cleans up Angel, but Ray takes on Angel. Ray's been looking very good here so far with the cleanups.
Yeah, so far a nice comeback from Unima. They have a lot of control as well. This is going to be a troublesome situation unless Caspi can make something happen, but it's not going to be happening quite yet here. Unima able to pick up the first set despite a good lead from Module 7 early on. Once again, a bit of a lack of closure. They were in a good situation. Everything was lining up, but they couldn't close it out. This seems to be the team for Module 7 so far today. Hopefully they can break through that pattern. Otherwise, Unima might as well run away with this win.
It certainly could do. It's very difficult coming off a loss, which you kind of felt like you should have won anyway in that series. It's very difficult to reset in that kind of circumstances. But Module 7, yeah, they've literally just come off that loss. But Unima Gaming, I know it was a little bit before. It was like at least 45 minutes to an hour ago. But when you come off a loss straight after, you've got to play straight away. You've got to be so quick on the mark to reset and then go into another series. But it's still early days as of yet. That first game, it was quite even, but you saw AJ was just doing so much work, but Ray just back-to-back kills back and forth every single time, like stopping him from getting that top hot zone. It was very tough to see from the side of Module 7.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's been a bit too much of a pattern on their end, right? Like first you choke 4 match points, and even then, like their first set as well early against Turnable Dribblers, they had like it was an easy win for them. You know, I mean, they just blundered both times towards the end and ended up losing that one. Yeah, it's a bit sad because I'm good friends with those guys as well. So you know, biased casters, but at least you know it's a bit of a heartbreaking way for them to lose those games and matches. We'll see if that is gonna change as Unima is able to deal with that initial push from the Mortis. It does look like we have the same comps once again, the same comps here for Module 7 especially. I think it's around the same stuff from Unima as well. The Mortis is an interesting pick once again because it didn't really feel like it was working out too well earlier, but we'll see if it can be a different result this time. It's definitely not starting off too badly here, but look at that, a nice pinch from Raid, and they're able to completely deal with that threat.
Yeah, Ray always seems to be close enough to that front line, just always been able to clean up any frags that's come his way. Caspi, speaking of the devil, the Mortis is going to clean up Angel from behind, and Ray is just playing Ring Around the Rosie here, Teddy, as he's going to try and get that hot zone, which he does manage to be able to, as Caspi is down below. Percentages still only 6 to 7% between them, as Unima Gaming are just trying to close out this set, as Angel takes out Caspi. Jack is just trying to stay alive, but with Ray playing Ring Around the Rosie still, I don't think he's going to have much of an opportunity there, as Reliable takes out Jack. Caspi takes out Reliable, so a trade comes in there, and Jack is just off the respawn, trying to see if he can help out with this potentially on the last zone. But Caspi has gone up north with that. Mortis going to push on through to take out Angel, and maybe even Ray if he gets the opportunity to, but it doesn't matter as Jack is the one who does take him out. Reliable just trying to stay alive for as long as he can, but not long enough.
Yeah, he does still manage to get like 8% of that, which is quite commendable. Unima, as long as they have the lead and some pressure on the top, Module 7, they can't move around the map, they can't go capture the zone that they need to capture. So even though some of those fights do give a bit of an advantage to Module 7, they still have that pressure up, and one crack in that defense and they can steal the win. Caspi is gonna be attacking the bottom left side, and they don't even care. They know it's a 3v2 now, that they pretty much can just take it by forcing things. And here we go, that is gonna be it. Unima Gaming, oh, never mind actually. Okay, interestingly enough, Caspi with his super, I believe, just got the final kill, but 1% is gonna be a tough affair. Reliable trying to get into the zone, can't quite make it happen. 2-on-2 now though, and Angel Tense is just gonna sneak up on the bottom side. Here we go, that is gonna be Unima Gaming to pick up this first set.
It's all right, Teddy can see into the future, so you can predict that's going to happen. That's why your predictions are so good, actually. You know, that makes a lot of sense now. I knew you had some kind of advantage. You cheeky bugger. But we are going to go into the next one very shortly. As Unima Gaming managed to take that first set. I wouldn't say comfortably, but I wouldn't say in a dominant fashion either. It took a little bit of time for them to progress and get that map control. It was always very even, but then again, Hot Zone normally is, especially on this map. So it can be, a little bit predictable. It's just a matter of how the fights turn out halfway through. And Ray's just been doing God's work here. Like, the cleanups he's been doing to avoid the trades here and there. The damage output from Unima Gaming's been looking very good too. Just the pieces are kind of fitting in nicely. Or is it the fact that they're just taking advantage of Module 7's situation off a grueling loss? It could be a number of things here. But Unima Gaming, even though both games were a little bit close, they do win that first set 2-0. So Module 7 had to really put in some work here to start making that climb.
Yeah, it wasn't all that big of a difference, all things considered, but it was Unima to pick up the win. They had a couple more kills and damage as well. Bot Drop is going to be our second set. It is a map that we saw Module 7 play in their opener match as well. Quite successfully, but with some choking towards the end. We'll see if it's going to be a similar story this time. They're not quite able to bank that first bolt. I believe that now they should be able to make it happen. Indeed, they will get the 2 first bolts, which pretty much means the first siege bot. I don't think Reliable has time to bank it. He does, and that's going to be the tie to kick things off.
Great discipline there from Angel. He knew there's a chance he could have gone for that bolt. It would have been unlikely due to his health and one of the players on Module 7 just firing some bursts just in case we do go for that bolt. So good play from Angel. He knows that it's probably like a very, very slim chance. Would have been very risky, but understandable why he pulled back. But speaking of pulling back, Angel's having absolutely none of it. He was going to go straight through, and in the end it didn't matter as Angel managed to take him out. Jack took down Ray after a long-winded battle. Reliable just pulling back just to try and regroup with Angel and Ray once again, as Module 7 looking much better than we saw previously. But then again, Unima Gaming is still up by a couple of bolts.
Yeah, they are going to get that siege bot, which does mean that Module 7 will have a massive siege bot number 2 if it comes to it. But we will find out shortly how that all goes down. The push doesn't really get that much damage, to be honest. Unima, they do manage to get the crow jump. A nice kill now, but I don't even know if a 10-bolt lead is really possible to come back from. I think it is, but they basically can't give them any bolts, or it's going to be a game going to Module 7. Raze does have that pull, is able to find the connection and the kill. This could be the comeback from Unima if they are able to get those last couple of bolts. They are so close in level 9, level 10. Oh my god!
Oh.
Just a second too late, and now Module 7 have a fat siege bot pushing up. They only need 15% damage for the draw, 16 for the win. The Barley should be able to just seal the deal here. What a close game, but it's going the way of Module 7 this time.
That was ridiculous to say the least. You were right though, almost to perfection with what you mentioned. They can just barely grab it. There was a bolt on the top right, but it was way too close to their spawn. I don't think they wanted to risk it. And again, understand as to why, they were just hoping that another bolt would go through the center, which it did. But I think it must have picked up, a quarter of a second, half a second after the siege bot was released. It was such a shame. And, very close between both teams once again. Module 7 still looking a little bit better, but we have to continue on as this will go into this best of 5. I do feel like it's not going to be a 3-0. And Module 7 will, make some plays here and there to push on the sets even further. But again, a lot better. I do feel like there's sometimes where some overextensions or some pulls have been pretty good. And we'll have to see if Module 7 can then continue on. As, Unima Gaming did look very good in that first set, but Module 7 just making up for their, I wouldn't say their poor performance, but their average performance from the first set anyway.
Yeah, I agree. It's still going to be a bit of a journey for them to get back into this match, but one game would do, right, to tie things up. I do feel like Unima played it better. They just got a tiny bit unlucky that, one bolt wasn't, it was a one bolt difference, basically, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just a very tough way to lose, because they did get plenty more bolts, plenty more positioning, and just overall they played it much better, to be completely honest. Once it was the retake, Module 7, they weren't able to get like a single bolt in that situation while they had the crow dive and die on the Ike and that kind of stuff. It's really impressive from Unima, but wasn't quite enough. Ray's gonna get tagged down from afar. Nice slow from Caspi to help in that situation. And Module 7, they are gonna get this first siege bot for sure, kicking things off with a pretty solid start.
Yeah, you can't complain with a start like this, as already now the siege bot is coming in, and the team on the side of Unima Game are just trying to do as much damage as possible, as keeping its distance from their opponents. Looking not too bad so far, but then again, how much damage is this siege bot going to do? Already it's down to 82%. The siege bot's just going to add a tiny bit more, just an extra 2% on top. But with that barley, it was sufficient enough for them to at least add it on whilst the siege bot was pushing through. But good kill there from Angel, and Joel there is also just been taken down. And now Jack, and it looks like the other player will actually pull him back as well. No, he will not. It's actually Caspi jumped in and did take down Angel in the end. So that was a good execution from him. Angel took that Ray as well in the process, as well as another kill. And Unima Gaming is the one that's going to be releasing that level 5 siege bot. And there will be one more to go after this. It just depends on how well the siege bot is going to do and what percentage it can be able to create in order to do some damage. So Angel takes down Jack whilst that's happening. And how much damage is it going to do? This is going to be the next question, as it managed to do only 12. So hopefully one more should be able to do it, but it's just a matter if Unima Gaming can collect the additional bolts required.
Yeah, last game, it was a 10-bolt lead that Unima almost came back from. This time they have a bit less of a challenge. The problem is they are getting pushed back, and Module 7 has control. It's looking like they might get that siege bot. Actually, they certainly will. And because they already have the damage lead, it pretty much means they pick up the win and take this set, tying things up 1-1 in sets effectively.
Yeah, quite a surprise. Unima Gaming had a clean first set. Module 7 responded with a clean set of their own. So absolutely right there, Teddy. It is going to be a tied series, as we're going to let the siege bot crack on, because the side of Unima Gaming, the players know that it's too little too late. There's nothing they can do. It's all but over and said and done. So 1-1 in the series, as we will be going to at least set 4 or 5 later on, depending on the circumstances of these two teams. But very good. That was a great way to respond to Unima Gaming's first set performance.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, you gotta match fire with fire, if that makes any sense. And that's certainly what they're going for right here, right? Just giving Unima Gaming a taste of their own medicine and punishing them for some mistakes. I feel like Unima didn't play bad. I feel like overall, if you look like mechanically and such, they played better this set, but they just didn't really get the right siege bot. It feels like Module 7 were able to get the right siege bots at the right time, go for the right decisions at the right time, and it just gave them too much of an advantage, and they were able to close this one out. 1-1, we're going to set number 3. We've seen that Module 7, the further we get into the series, where it starts to get a bit more tedious and they start choking more games and sets. We'll find out if it's the case once more, as we are going to be hopping into set number 3 shortly.
Module 7, a third more damage, which is a huge amount of map presence from what we saw compared to set 1. A lot more kills as well. It looked a little bit more even than I expected. I didn't expect it to be at least a third. I thought it was going to be like 10 or 20% more, but not that much detriment to make such a huge impact there. But that's all done. That's set number 2 finished. It is 1-1 in a series where I'll do a little bit of ball here, Teddy, on encirclement, and see if we can separate these teams once again. Module 7, I feel like for them, they looked pretty good on Brawl before in the last series. They just seem to be, they don't like too much chaos or strategic aggression. They just play it very safe and try and not let any mistakes go. We're going to see a lot of times where they might try and wait for the side of Unima Gaming to force out some of these first mistakes and then push on forward, because you saw that they messed around with a lot of their composition in order to find the correct comp to then manage to take the series. Will it be the same situation again? We don't know. It all depends on the comps in this first set.
Yeah, we'll see what decisions they go for. Honestly, it's tough to tell. Here we go. Oh, well,
Oh,
it seems
okay.
like we're hopping it a bit late as Unima already has a goal.
Yeah, first game, set 3. They scored before we even got there. We do apologise about that, but it's okay. It's all said and done. And we've still got a couple of minutes left and see what happens and if Module 7 can retaliate back. But what can I say? We didn't see it, but Unima Gaming, good start from then. Agile was just trying to keep him at bay with a little bit of damage, but Reliable is on the hunt. He can smell blood there as he does take down Agile. And now Ray is going to try and push him with that mortars and the ball as well. There's only one player left standing. It's Sat Caspi, but H1 has respawn immunity, but I don't think it really matters. They've got so much HP, they can literally just dribble it in, no problem. And there we have it, a very fast and very quick response from Unima Gaming. I was saying the side of Module 7, they responded really well, but Unima Gaming just doing the exact same back.
Yeah, I completely agree. This was the most dominating win we've seen so far in this match, and honestly, I want to say in the last 2 full matches as well, it was very close affairs. This is a very different flavor we got here. Getting that first goal only about like 20 seconds in, very quick pace, not even letting our observers get into the game in time to catch that action. I mean, it happens very often, especially in Brawl Ball. It can go extremely fast. When you're playing Poco Double Tank, you have to keep in mind that your initial spawn is closer up than your respawns, which means that you have less of the map to travel. And with, healing and so much tankiness, it's just enough often to just roll through the defense and score. Whereas if you're starting from your goal, you have more of a run to make, and your opponents have more time to tag you up, take you down. You have to use more utility, and you end up not having enough all the way until the goal. So this is why we very often have those extremely quick interaction when someone goes Poco Double Tank early on into the game, because of the respawns, they're just able to get a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, they definitely took advantage of that situation, not even giving us a chance in the first few seconds study. But yeah, very clean first game. I'd be surprised if we see it again. Again, it's just going to be difference on comps and how it's going to be counted. Will it even counter? Will it even change comps? It's a lot of my games there, but we'll have to see. Is already Unima Gaming are going to be feeling very good about such a quick win in that first game, set number 3. Module 7 are going to get a little bit funny about it, and then we'll have to see if they can try and rectify anything quickly. But is there anything really to rectify there, Teddy? Do you reckon it's just simple fact that they have to change their comps, or maybe change the way they played in the course of that game? Because there wasn't really much to go by there.
Yeah, we didn't really have a lot to analyze, did we? I feel like overall the weakness in Module 7 is that in their comp it kind of felt like they had nothing to deal with a Poco Double Tank situation, which you pretty much always want to make sure you do. Like, unless Poco is banned, you want to make sure you have some sort of a brawler that can slow things down a bit. And clutch against a Poco Double Tank. They are actually going to be matching the Poco Double Tank, but look at Unima. They're switching off, going for the Tara Jean Max. Tara is going to be pretty good against those Poco Double Tanks because they are going to be stacked up, but she can find some nice shots, trying to go for some pulls. Good pull over there, but Jack is able to intercept the ball. Angel, last player left alive for Module 7. The pull comes through. He's going to get taken out, and Unima with a bit of a better start and comp so far.
Yeah, Angel still had a fair bit of HP with that Frank, but gets taken down anyway. Casper just going straight in with his usual Mortis shenanigans, but then again, Ray does get the trade back. Reliable just trying to tickle the Frank a little bit more. As you can see, the rest of the players, I'll pull it back ever so slightly. As Jack is just trying to hold that mid ground to push through, but it's been pulled. Angel's managed to clean it up beautifully there. Caspi just looking to do a ton of damage, but it doesn't really do as much as he would like. As he did push on through in that 1v2, but it has been cleaned up by Reliable. As Jack is just standing his ground, hoping to do enough damage, but as you know, with the Poco, it's not a huge amount of damage he can do. And then Reliable knew that, so that was his opening or window of opportunity in order to get that first goal of the second game.
Yeah, good stuff from Unima. I really like their comp as one. The Tara is the X factor I was talking about earlier against the Poco Double Tank. It's just, one brawler, but that can deal with those kind of situations. This time, they won't, as Angel is able to tank through with 300 HP remaining. We'll see, though, if we get closer to overtime, how things can turn around. Angel trying to line up the shot, is going to go for the super instead, doesn't quite find any connections. Raise with the pool, doesn't find any connections either. Angel pushing up, this could be the goal here. Angel, oh my god, that was close, but they're able to stop him in time.
AJ knew that they used most of their attacks up, and it's going to be, very close to respond to that. But oh my goodness, yeah, you saw there, AJ took a risk. I think it was worth the risk. It was just so tightly knit with the HP he had left, pushing forward inside goal line. But look at this though, Jack trying to do everything he can to stay alive. He won't be able to do much apart from do a little bit of damage as Caspi comes in with that Mortis. Great stuff from him. We'll be able to get a kill if he can. He still doesn't take down any of them, and he did so much damage towards them, as it would be sudden death. And Module 7 do have the ball near their, well, in their corner, you could say. But what is going to happen next is Ray has already started things off strong, getting that first kill. Angel gets the second. It's only Angel on the flank left. He needs to back away if he can. He should be able to, but he's waiting for Jack to help him out and push on through and maybe re-heal if he can. But you can see from here, Unlimited Gaming do have the range, and it really shows halfway through. And suddenly they've still got 30 seconds left. Will we be able to clean up? Yes, they do. Angel gets the second goal and wins set number 3. So that's 2-1 in the series for Unima Gaming.
Yeah, so far so good for Unima. Strong set on their end. I really like how they were ready to vary between the Poco double tank and getting the Tara into the mix. Some pretty creative stuff with that Tara. It's just really versatile as well. It does really well against those tanks. So they were just able to counter any healer heavy comps from and tanky comps from Module 7. So overall, I think they played a lot better. That was a really nice goal from Reliable, as well able to just sneak through the defense. Angel surviving with 392 HP to find his own goal, and finally to close things out, the shot in overtime from Unima to take that set.
Yeah, look at that. Nearly 100,000 damage. I think it's just due to the Poco double tank play you talked about earlier. So, rightly so, Module 7, it makes a bit of sense that Unima Gaming do have a huge amount of damage in comparison, just to pull back that force, you could say, compared to what you've seen earlier. 22 kills to 8 is a huge, huge margin. And even though 4 goals to 1, not really too much to say there. But Unima Gaming did look much, much better. It just seems to be more about the modes rather than the maps in terms of like who's going to take either side. But Module 7 now down 2-1 in the series. They're going to win, or they are the ones who need to keep fighting back on potential match points in these next few sets if they can find it back. So could see another set 5. Depends how Module 7 responds going into Canal Grande on Bounty. We know what Bounty can be like here, Teddy. It's not something you really want to go into in terms of a mode when you're on the back foot with potentially one set left remaining, but we are going to go into it anyway. Set 4, game 1, 2-1 in the series in favour of Unima Gaming, and we're going to see if Module 7 can at least claw back, of Unima Gaming can close the series out and go into that important decider match.
Yeah, the Poco double tank is not going to be easy to play here for Module 7. Caspi, low HP, does just get healed up. Angel Tense is going to fall. Caspi still alive for the longest time, will fall eventually. In Module 7, they break through that defense from Unima and pick up 2 important kills early on.
Certainly have indeed. Unima Gaming, well, both teams are just doing a great job just sticking together and just being very, very patient. Module 7 is in the lead by 5 stars to 0, and it looks like it will be a very long, drawn-out game. Unima Gaming just trying to find not just an opening, but trying to be a bit quick about it here. As Caspi sneaks in a little bit of damage, pushing through, but he's going to be looking for more now. Will he be able to take anyone down? It's looking not too great here, but Jack's here to support him, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue, as he was almost taken down. But saying that 148 HP finally gets finished off, and Unima Gaming are clawing back here.
Yeah, only a 2-star difference. Angel is gonna get caught off guard by Angel Tense, and he's gonna get taken out. Nice double kill from Angel. Jack gonna get knocked back by that Tickhead as well. Now suddenly Unima Gaming, they have the 2-star lead. Module 7, they need a kill to catch up. It has to be a kill on Angel Tense if they want to have enough stars. And honestly, it's not looking too good. They already lose a player that's going to be winding up that lead furthermore. And things are looking good for Unima to get towards match point. The final push coming through. Some good damage from afar onto Jack. He's quite low HP. Caspi low HP as well. Angel can't quite get his super anyways. And this is going to be Unima getting to match point.
Yeah, with the Angel and the HP and the Super, he had all the pieces to the puzzle towards the end. There was no way he was going to get taken down in that engagement. And it's not looking too good for Module 7. It's not that we expected more from them. It's just that we know that there's a lot more potential which should be from them in comparison. Like we've always felt before, where they're a very strong team. It's just a bit of a shame that today's not really been their day as of yet. But now they're the ones on the back foot. They're the ones where they've got to fight back against match point, which is perfectly fine. They only need to win 2 games, and then that's it. They can go into set 5 and try and claw it back. But yeah, it's a real shame because this team does have a fair bit of potential, and it would be even more of a shame if they actually do finish 4th in this group. But then again, Unima Gaming aren't just a walkover team. They've also been very strong. We saw it before in the group stages back at stage 1.
Yeah, I agree. This time around Unima Gaming at match point, can we have some closure on their end? Can they close things out in this bounty set? They have 2 match points ahead of them. Module 7 with a mountain to climb if they want to catch up with Unima. They need to win the 2 next games to push things to set 5. And honestly, it's looking like a pretty tedious journey. Not impossible, far from there, but still on the back foot. And as you rightly said earlier, in Bounty, things can go very quickly. So being down match point here is going to be really dangerous, because one mistake here and there could cost them that game, therefore the set and the entire match.
Yeah, I do feel sorry for them. I don't like to see a good team go, but we already saw that in that group of death and Group F in stage 1. So it has happened before. I think it was Bunker Esports, if I remember from the top of my head. I have to try and remember that. But yeah, we've seen it before. We've always seen a couple of teams sadly go where we feel like, they could have progressed much, much further than anticipated. And Module 7, it's a shame for them. But then again, Unima Gaming have shown a strong performance, not just in this group, but in the previous stage as well. So it's a shame we have to have both of them go at some point, but we'll see. Like Module 7, they just need to win this one game just to kind of rethink what they want to do for the next game, and then they can take it to a set 5. It's easier said than done, Teddy, I think, to put it that way. But Module 7, they've choked a few times. Can the same pattern occur? It's a possibility. It depends. We'll have to see what happens and what Unima Gaming can do. But Unima Gaming have been looking very, very strong these last few games.
Yeah, I agree. We've seen some good stuff from Module 7 today. I feel like it would be a shame to say goodbye to them. But at this point, I don't know if they can do it, man. I don't know if they can do it. And they need to push really hard to get through this tough situation. I mean, it's going to start with this next game of Bounty. They absolutely need to pick it up. We'll see if they're able to do that. But on paper, it's not really looking all that good for them. We've seen them have some moments of struggle, and usually they wouldn't really get back from it afterwards. So who knows? It's I wouldn't rule it out, but I also would want to say that don't get your hopes up, guys, because Unima is looking pretty strong right now.
Yeah, certainly are indeed. We're just waiting for this next game to commence shortly. If you're just joining us, welcome. We've already had 2 series, the opening match and the second series of the day, to determine who will be in the winners and losers bracket of this group. This is the losers match, and whoever does lose, that's then completely out of the tournament, and whoever wins this will go into a decider match, which will be occurring on Friday, which all our decider matches take place. So we are going to go to set 4, game number 2, and see what differences can be achieved, or changes that can be achieved over the Module 7, or if Unima Gaming are going to close this series out.
Yeah, looking at the comms, I am very confused by what Module 7 are going for. They're going for triple healer, triple thrower, which doesn't really work that well. It quite easily gets countered very heavily. We'll see if it's going to be the case here, as Angel Tense is a bit stuck there on the right side. Not so sure why he's so far away from his Byron. They should be together non-stop. But that mistake is going to give 2 stars to Module 7 and a chance to actually roll with that comp. The Tig had I don't know. Yeah, I did find a connection onto Angel, but HP-wise, it's still pretty low. Angel 10's able to pick up a kill, doesn't quite get traded out just yet. Oh my god, he actually survives that, and now suddenly Unima Gaming, they have the lead once more.
He'll be thanking Ray for that 100%. Like, literally stuck by him the entire time, considering what he had to go through with so many different obstacles. Unum Gaming now up only by 1. 30 seconds left. Module 7 and now up by 1. They were trailing behind, but this is their moment to try and keep that passive structure set up by knowing love to try and keep their opponents at bay. But Unima Gaming is still trying to find an opening here. And now this could be their moment. They've only got 12 seconds left as Jack just kind of keeping away with that Barley on that left lane. Now using his super to, increase the damage on that middle side. But Angel's just pushing all the way through. Jack finally took him down. And look at that. Module 7 did manage to take it down 10-6. Angel, I can understand why he's done that and overextended. He didn't have any time left and he was 1 down. So, there's nothing really more he could have done.
No, I agree. I honestly feel like Unima really choked this one because they had a comp that countered Module 7, in my opinion. Especially since you can have 3 Troys, sure, but how are you going to stop a Rosa in a bush that is getting powered up that's getting healed up constantly by a Byron? I don't know.
Yeah.
And somehow they kept just splitting apart and dying on their own on their sides of the map, which I don't know why they were doing that. I feel like they should just have stick together, especially as a Tick can hold his own ground, and it doesn't really matter if there's 1 or 2 throwers on your side against you, because wherever you shoot, well, if anyone wokes there, they're going to be taking quite a bit of damage. Those throwers don't have a whole lot of HP, so you could hold on there pretty much as good as if they were 2 of them. So I don't know. It feels like a very sloppy game here from Unima. Good for Module 7 that it works out, but I'm expecting a lot better from Unima. I feel like this kind of games where they have the counter on their side, they should be able to get an easy win instead of, giving it away by splitting up and letting your support brawler play, alone, which is not really why do you want a support brawler then?
It was, I'm not gonna lie, that was a really weird game. It was really weird, maybe because it's a bit off meta. If something's a little, not off meta, but in terms of the comms, if it's a little bit different in that kind of circumstances where they should get easily counted, there could be a possibility that Unima Gaming just, got a little bit sloppy. They probably thought this is going to be a lot easier than expected, because they've been playing really well in terms of their coordination, pushing and trying to take some of them down. They seem to be perfectly fine, and that was just a completely different circumstance. It was just really, really weird. The only thing I'm going to say now is the fact that that's going to leave a massive opening for Module 7, making completely changed comps now. Unima Gaming could think about countering the last one, but Unima Gaming must know that surely they're not going to go for the same comp again. They could do, don't get me wrong, but the chance of that happening, considering what we just saw in that last game, I'll be surprised if Module 7 do stick.
Yeah, we will find out. I don't think they can run this comp again. Like, if there was a Mortis or anything like it on the side of Unima, they would have been absolutely destroyed. Like, Module 7 would not even have stood a chance. And it was a bit of a miracle run that they still managed to win despite getting countered by the Rose and Byron. We'll see if it keeps going like that, and if Unima want to keep playing the same comp too. I don't know. They could really go for some creative stuff. I think that it is a bit of a risky bet for Module 7, but now they're only 1 win from tying things up, so going for something risky could make the difference.
So they could do indeed. The last one was very risky, and what can we say? It paid off, luckily. But then again, do they want to risk something like that again? Will they go back to a standard default comp? Will Unima Gaming try and counter that last one? But then again, it was already counted, so it doesn't really need. I don't feel like they need to make any changes. It depends what Module 7 want to do. Like, maybe know more about that comp than we do. It's a number of decisions they've got to think about going into this. And as we go into the final game of set number 4, and we're going to see if Module 7 have any more surprises up their sleeve.
Yeah, we have a very different comp here, and it should be a very doable comp for Unima as well to close things out, just because something like a Daryl against those throwers can literally just roll onto their faces and be a big threat, and he's gonna do just that, but decides to roll onto the Jackie. Not exactly the best decision if you ask me, especially if the Poco is not there to heal you up. So that is gonna be giving away the lead to Module 7. Not sure why he decided to go for that play. We might see some better roles later on. But once again, some questionable decisions from Unima. Like, if you go Daryl, you have to be a little bit confident with it, right? Like, you don't want to roll on the one brawler on the opposing team that can win a matchup against you. He's gonna get walled off as well. Does get he's gonna miss his roll once more, but Reliable is able to pick up a nice kill. Could get traded out here. So Leo HP will fall, and this is gonna give the blue star to Module 7 and therefore the lead.
It's not what they wanted, not what they planned. They were hoping to pull back a little bit quicker, but sadly it just wasn't going to happen. It's now, you're right, though, things have tied up. Module 7 with that blue star will then continue on and then wait for the pressure to come towards Unima Gamer. But looking at Ray push some flanks on that left side so easy, and they've taken so much damage accordingly. Angel takes out one, takes out two, and only AJ there just trying to be the one left, or the last one left standing. So now Module 7 have to really push all the way up here for not even stand a chance to even coming back. Caspi gets one. They need to take out one more at least, but I feel like they're just way too far away at the bottom middle of the map, and that is going to be it. Unima Gaming will not take it to a set 5. They will end it a set 4, 3-1 in the series, and sadly, we are going to have to lose Module 7.
Yeah, Module 7, quite a journey throughout Gamestars, but some games they lost and some sets they lost that they really shouldn't have are going to cost them their spot in the playoffs, which means that they are out of the group, the first team to get eliminated, and this leaves us with one more match for today. That is gonna be our winner match. So one of the teams that go straight to the international playoffs, and then on Friday we will have the final match for this group as well, the decider match between the loser of our winner match and Unima Gaming that just took down Module 7. So Unima, they live to fight another day. That day is going to be Friday, but it's still not the end of their troubles, is it?
Absolutely not. No, Unima Gaming is still looking pretty good, looking pretty strong. They will be playing that decider match, like you said, on Friday. It's going to be a very, very sweaty way to end the week when we do hit that Friday mark and decide the final remaining 4 teams going into the international finals. But speaking of sending teams to international finals, we will be going into our winners match very soon, because we do have Noble Elite and Chernobyl Dribblers battling out against each other for a rightful spot straight into the international finals, without having to dilly-dally with the decider matches. And it's just going to be, even worse for them, because they're giving away more matches, giving away more games, and then people are going to know what they're going to be hiding going towards international finals. But Module 7, commiserations to them. They had a very, very good run. I do feel sorry for them about that first series of the day. It could have really gone either way, but Unima Gaming just showed a little bit more effort, a little bit more elements to skill and strategic side, and it just seems like they were the better team in terms of structure and just overall gameplay. So congratulations to Unima Gaming. We won't see him again today, but we will be seeing him on the decider match on the Friday. But Module 7 is a little bit of a shame, but we can't have every single team going into the international finals. We've already sent 8 teams home in stage 1. We are sending another 8 teams home in this stage, and then sending 8 more teams who are already with the other 8 teams in the international finals. That'll be 16 in total. So we'll be excited to see who Unima Gaming will be playing against. So it will be between Noble Elite and Chernobyl Dribblers. Both teams shown some remarkable skill throughout their sets in their series earlier on, and it'll be exciting to see how it will pan out.
Yeah, exactly that. I think you summed it up quite nicely for us. So one more match to go today. We'll have one more match of the playoffs, the decider match for this group on Friday as well. Obviously, every other day of the week, we will have the other groups, right? So tomorrow, Group B, then Group C, Group D, Group E. Do we go to Group E? No, I don't think so. It ends at D, I believe. But with that being said, this was Unima versus Module 7. Unima able to come victorious. Not a super convincing win, I would say. It got pretty close, but it was still a pretty solid performance on their end and a very much deserved win. I think at Module 7, the match they really are going to be looking back to is the first one of today, the opener match for them, where it really felt like they should have closed it out time and time again, but they couldn't quite make it happen. Unima, on the other hand, are going to continue playing. We will see them next time on Friday. But yeah, first we got our winners match today, which is going to determine their opponents as well.
It's like a soap drama, Teddy. We always save everything to the final day of the week before we unleash absolute chaos. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how Unima Gaming do. You know, we won't see them for another few days. I'm sure, you know, we can cope with that and wait till the Friday till they play whoever day it is between Chernobyl Dribblers and Noble Elite, which will be our next game. It will be one of the Russian teams versus the Bulgarian team, and Chernobyl Dribblers did look very solid earlier, even though Module 7, it's hard to say, even though Module 7 played really well against them, I kind of feel like if Noble Elite are one of those teams who can download their opponent like very, you know, efficiently in terms of speed rather than anything else, then Chernobyl Dribblers are just going to be in a world of trouble. Chernobyl Dribblers are a very aggressive, fast-paced team, but if a team like Noble Elite can control the aggression and work the map into their favour, then Chernobyl Dribblers will be in a world of trouble.
Yeah, Unima Gaming, as you can see, taking down Module 7, waiting for their opponents. That's going to be the losers of our winners match. The winners, though, of the winners match are going straight to the international playoffs, to the finals, and to the final stage of Gamestars. So Noble Elite versus Chernobyl Dribblers is up next. Honestly, this is a tough one. On the one hand, you have Noble Elite that had quite a convincing trio win earlier on against Unima, and on the other side, you have Chernobyl Dribblers that had a very close affair with Module 7. I feel like on paper that should give the advantage to Noble Elite, right? Just because they were able to win much more convincingly against the better team, whereas Chernobyl Dribblers had just such a close match against Module 7, which it could really have gone either way. So I would say that Noble Elite have a bit of an advantage to that regard.
Yeah, I was looking at it as well, just going by purely, you know, not even stats, anything like that, just score lines. The fact that Noble Elite were quite convincing in terms of the freeze area, and everyone else were just literally going to sets 4 and 5 and just riding that struggle bus to that last game on each set. You know, stats speak for themselves, doesn't it? It makes perfect sense as to why you made that assumption. I was actually thinking about that as you were saying it, so I was like, I'm glad Teddy's thinking exactly the same as me, so it wasn't really too bad. But what do you think of the bans, Teddy?
I mean, I think Poker makes sense. Really strong brawler at the moment. Jessie, I'm not so sure. I don't think Jessie is very good. She's all right. She's playable, which is, you know, as much as I'm willing to give her. And I feel like
banning that today than we have done any other day.
Yeah, that's true. But leaving that instead of, like, you know, leaving a Belle in the game instead of the Jessie, for example, seems a bit weird to me, because I feel like, you know, Belle just does the same stuff but better everywhere. So I don't know. I'm a bit curious at what the mindset is. It does mean that Belle is going to be available and playable, which could get a bit crazy, to be completely honest. Not entirely sure what to think about that one. We don't see a lot of Belle. It was banned in the 3 first matches of the day. It also means that stuff like Stu, Max, Jean, all those brawlers that we see a lot, they're all going to be available. Barty is one of those as well. So an interesting choice. Maybe once we see the maps, it's gonna light us up a bit more regarding this decision. I'm just not so sure. I don't know. I feel like Jessie is like okay at best.
Yeah, all because we've seen it, you know, a few more times today doesn't mean like she's an overall great pick. I completely understand where you're coming from. Maybe, you know, Jean should have been banned. Have you seen Castillo 11 times, Teddy? 11 times he selected Jean. I think he hates Jean. Like, that's ridiculous. I think that's the most I've seen. I've seen someone else with, I think it was max 8 times, and then you see 11. Oh, that ban would have been perfect, because Castillo would probably be sitting there thinking, oh, who else do I choose? That's literally it for me. I might as well just quit out the series and go straight into the decider match. Nah, just kidding, Castillo. Don't worry. I've got your back, mate. But we are going to go to maps and modes. Sneaky field to start off with in set 1 with Brawl Ball, Bounty, with Land Ahoy, and we've got Heist in Safe Zone, Hot Zone, Magnetic Field. And if you do go to a set 5, it will be going to Flooded Rams. So choices, as we're going to see exactly how things will pan out between these two teams. But I'm going to ask for your prediction. Like, I've already technically asked for it, considering you answered it for me right at the very beginning. You do make the assumption that purely from series stats alone and how Noble Elite have been doing, but Noble Elite should be the stronger team since they put on a much better performance earlier on in that first set against, I believe it was against Unima Gaming, compared to what we've seen in the past.
Well, that's what I'm going for, although, you know, it's difficult to say. It comes down to the maps, the modes, as well as the play styles and all this kind of stuff, and the bans. So many different factors that are going to be influencing how this match is getting played out. So you can't just like look at their previous matches and say, okay, this team is going to win against this team just like that. But, you know, if you do the math, they did win quite convincingly against Unima that won pretty strongly against Module 7. So I just feel like Noble Elite has a bit of an advantage to that regard. And if you look early on, they are looking to prove me right. Oh, Hero is able to clutch up that defense, but nevertheless, some great positioning on the side of Noble Elite. Good pull from Hero. He's clutching up for his team.
And there we have it. As you can see, not too much difference in terms of comps. Mid controls being thoughtful. Nod takes down Life Pool, and then Nod was traded off straight afterwards. So Castillo just putting all the way back here, as now Trick is also holding that mid side as well. Just waiting to see what their first movement is going to be in terms of what they're going to do. Trick is taking a huge amount of damage, but then again, so as Hero, as Castillo's got the ball, he's going to try and push it as far away as possible, just so that he can then get away and then give his teammates a chance to respawn. So that was a very good play from Castillo. Completely understand why he's actually gone about doing that. You could say it's common sense, but you know, then again, some players do panic when they think about their next decisive move. But Trick has taken down Nod. Hero has also got a kill to his name too, and they're just still trying to fight for mid hits. Livepool taking a huge amount of damage. Trick is almost down, and both these players are trying to decide if they should take a 2v1 or just fight it back. It looks like Trick is just trying to see if he can pull back and rejoin with the rest of his team.
Yeah, so far a bit of a stalemate, although Spew's looking to take down Castillo. Will do that with the Sandstorm, actually. Hero falls as well. That's a team wipe. Should be the follow-up goal as well. And Noble Elite, they kick things off with the first goal.
Yeah, Spew's going to be very happy about that, considering he was in mid so long and just playing strategically so well, just waiting for the right opportunity. And Noble Elite's the nice early lead. Spew's again taking out Castillo, and Trick is just waiting to see what their next move is going to be. But Spew's is just doing really well, getting so many kills to his name, regrouping and re-strategizing and making so many good decisive decisions here. And now they've got the ball as well. So Life is just looking to see what they want to do. He's actually left the ball back on that left lane just so that they can't go for it if they do get team wipes. And it seems to be okay. Looks like they won't get team wipes, and they will actually take down the remaining members of the side of Chernobyl Dribblers. They could have scored that anyway, but they just wanted to be extra safe and just be extra cautious. There's no point forcing out a 2-0 victory when there's a possibility of a draw if they took the ball with him. So makes perfect sense. Nice, comfortable win there from Noble Elites.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you said. I think that unless you still got a lot of time left in the game where they could still get a good push and a nice, you know, build up, it's just not worth it. You know, they had like 15 seconds left. They got a team wipe. Sure, they could have tried to score, but you know, you might as well just wait 15 seconds and win. Exactly. It's just a bit more for the flex and anything else. So I respect that from the Elite going for the safe approach. Overall, I think they played much better. And as you said very rightly, Spews on the Sandy has been extremely impactful, was just constantly able to get some nice positions throughout the middle area. With those bushes, Sandy can become such an effective assassin because it deals some nice AoE damage, so you can catch up to 2 or 3 opponents at the same time, get some super quick burst damage, and then just full back a nice gadget so that if you get tagged up a bit, you can immediately heal back up while reloading your ammo and being completely back for the fight. So overall, I feel like Spews had a really big impact that made the difference for Noble Elite. They played much more solid, at some really solid pinches all over the place, especially with Spews just constantly in the middle, able to play around the information and never really reveal his position until he was in his opponent's face, going for either a pinch or an assassination kill somewhere on the side. Good stuff overall from Noble Elite. They had a much more structured gameplay.
It certainly was indeed. It seems a lot more stable in comparison to what we've seen in previous teams in previous matchups. And already Trick has got that first kill for Noble Elite. It's looking very, very solid. And this is the first time I've seen Chernobyl dribblers really on the back foot. Normally they're the ones who are the aggressor. And, you know, they are really being brought to fire from Noble Elites. And the fact that it's a strategic aggression where they, you know, they really show up for the chaos, they can't really do anything. They just, I feel like Chernobyl dribblers have not just been countered, not compromised, but in terms of like style of play, and they kind of can't figure out exactly what to do because they're not used to being on the back foot this much.
Yeah, so far it has truly been the case, as Hero is quite low HP, but he's able to heal up. Trick going in there, able to pick up a kill and come out full HP. I think he's playing the heal star power as well, which is not something I've seen a lot on the Stew, but so far it seems to be paying off. Spew's finding some nice value, able to get the stun as well, fully open the goal. Trick with the final kill, and that is going to be Noble Elite once again able to pick up the goal. A bit of a flex trick shot to close things out here. And now Chernobyl dribblers, they only have about a minute to pick up a goal of their own.
Yeah, very convincing. I think that's pretty much an understatement because Stillim has to take out Spews on that right side. Hero is just trying to keep Trick back if he can. Do you know what? It doesn't even matter. They've already scored a second time here as Noble Elite has already taken set number one. Convincing fashion. Very clean, very comfortable. Prediction again correct. As usual, Teddy. And now it looks like Noble Elite are on the charge to try and not just close out this series, but you can see they want it so much more just to skip to those international finals without any decider matches here.
Yeah, so far it's been a bit of a tough start for Chernobyl dribblers. I definitely think they played well. I think Hero really stood out in the defense as well. Had some really clutch defenses, but overall Noble Elite just able to capitalize on those pushes a lot more and make them count, whereas Chernobyl dribblers struggled a bit more, first of all, to get pushes, but then the couple of opportunities they had, they were just not really able to act on them too much and find a lot of value off them.
Certainly indeed, and now they've got to figure out what they want to do, because you know, when you've got your opponents who like to apply the same pressure, they seem to be a little bit not clueless, but they've run out of ideas compared to what to do. Look at the difference though. Stats don't lie here, Teddy. 29 kills to the 10 on the side of Chernobyl dribblers, and even though it's only 15,000 more damage, it's the execution they applied in order to finish off and clean up those kills. Great stuff from Noble Elites. Pretty much what we expected compared to the opening match we saw earlier on, even though most of those sets went to a game 3, but that was probably the most convincing set we've seen from them all evening long. But we are going to do a bit of Land Ahoy on Bounty, and then if it does go to obviously the later sets, we do have Safe Zone, Magnetic Field, and Flooded Dam. Of course, we will have Safe Zone as the next set afterwards, and we'll have to see what they can do here. And I really do feel like for the side of Chernobyl dribblers, they need a strong response after that first set, because that first set wasn't really even close.
Yeah, I agree. We need to see a bit more of a challenge for Noble Elite Kuroko as Chernobyl dribblers. It just felt a bit underwhelming, their performance so far against Noble Elite Kuroko. It could turn around. I do feel like, you know, compared to Brawl, it can get quite fast-paced. Bounty is a good chance to slow things down a bit, to focus up. And look at that, we have the Bell on Chernobyl dribblers. Trick instead is gonna go for the Piper. I feel like Piper does pretty well in a 1v1 versus Bell, but it can still get pretty tricky, especially in closer range. Bell is a bit more versatile.
Indeed, we're going to see what they can do here. We don't really see Bell too often because it's banned all the time, Teddy, so it's actually nice to have the opportunity to witness a Bell in action, like more times than anything else. A minute and a half left into this game. Chernobyl dribblers are the one in the lead, and with that blue star as well. Trick is just going to push in slowly with that Piper, and speaking of the devil, he does take down Castillo, so good stuff from him to try and now make a slight comeback. Trick is trying to pull back away with that Piper if he can, and Spoos is just seeing what he can do to try and show some map presence with that Barley here, but it's been a real struggle going forward. But Chernobyl Dribblers playing a bit better than usual. They're still trying to show that aggression. And Noble Elites, this is probably one of the very few times we've seen a passive stance from them. Of course, they've got the lead, which makes perfect sense. But I think they're just waiting to see if one of them does overextend, because they probably noticed it in their series earlier on.
Yeah, nice kill from Trick. I do wonder what gadget he's playing, because I haven't seen him use his homemade recipe yet, so maybe he's playing the wrong gadget. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it wouldn't be the wrong gadget if there were some tanks and such. A nice kill from Trick once again. Now the solo HP. Yeah, the connection from Spews. Life pool up close is gonna get taken out by Hero, but a 6-star lead means that Trick has to fall for CD to stand a chance, and they would need another kill as well. This is not looking like it. Noble Elite gonna pick up yet another game, and honestly impressed by Trick's Piper. He's been hitting those shots consistently and consistently winning against the Bell as well, which is, in my opinion, I feel like at a range, Piper is just a bit stronger as a duelist than Bell. But purely in that 1v1 matchup, Bell is stronger against most other brawlers. So a bit of a curious matchup over there, and Trick definitely shined through this one.
You were saying earlier that Bell was more versatile, which makes a bit of sense as to why, you know, she gets banned so many occasions in comparison to Piper. But yeah, still, like I said, still played Piper very well. You know, if you're pretty much an aimbot, then you should be perfectly fine with a brawler like Piper. But again, Noble is another convincing victory. This is definitely a lot more one-sided than I expected. Okay, fair enough, you know, we saw some flair from the side of Chernobyl Dribblers, but, you know, the only reason why they were playing so passive is because they're waiting for one of them to overextend. They've obviously clearly seen their series an hour ago between the likes of Module 7 and realised, okay, they've made this mistake, that mistake, and I said it before the series started. If they pick up on the aggression of Chernobyl Dribblers and read them like it's no biggie, like read them like a lot quicker than Module 7 did, then this is where it's going to be, you know, things are going to turn on its head, and it already has done. Already it's, you know, 1-0 in series. I've already won the first game in set 2, and I'm actually starting to get really worried now for Chernobyl Dribblers, because it looks like, you know, they can smell a decider match coming through, and it looks like they could be playing again on Friday. Noble Elite, you saw that then with the Mortis as well, just going straight in, picking up that blue star, and trying to make his way back.
Yeah, so far the early lead in favor of Noble Elite, going for a fully different strategy this time around. And Bell is going to be doing better against those tankier brawlers. So a bit of a mind game here as well, where Noble Elite, you know, winning with the Piper earlier against Bell kind of led Chernobyl Dribblers to switch off. Spews in a tough spot, going to go down. Trick low HP as well. Can he make something happen here? Or is he going to go down? He's definitely pushing forward, but he's about to take quite a bit of damage. The kill comes through as well, and now Chernobyl Dribblers take the lead. Spews up close, picks up a kill, only a star difference now. But it's not going to be easy to open things up from afar. Great bubble there. Trick up close, able to pick up another kill. He's actually hungry for more, picks up yet another frag, and a bit of a pop-off here for those tanks. Spews able to pick up another one. What a bubble as well. He falls, but it's still going to be a pretty decent lead for Noble Elite.
I was going to say he's possibly overstaying his welcome, but it looks like he didn't. But then again, look at the count so far. Forward deficit for Chernobyl Dribblers. Still looking to see where they can come back from. Spoos is just literally just going straight in, no holds barred. He don't care. He don't give a damn at the moment, especially with Life Pool going in with him, as now it's up to 5 in terms of deficit. 20 seconds left. They still need to do a little bit of damage and flick a little bit here and there in order to keep them back, to delay that time. And they're going to try and play for time here, as now there's a 4-star difference. But Spuso looking with just keeping them at bay, just pushing them back if he can, which he's done a good job so far. Trick, will he be able to at least try and keep this? Yes, he does. Good stuff from him. Life Pool takes out Hero, and Trick took out Castillo at the end. 35-24, and they win set number 2. I don't know what to say to it. A little bit closer, but it doesn't change the scoreline.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it never went out of control for Noble Elite. Both games of Bounty were a bit closer than what we saw in set number 1, but it wasn't close by any means either. It was just very much in control. Noble Elite were deciding to keep pushing despite having the lead, and sure, they ended up going down, but they were getting a couple of extra kills, which wouldn't really change the star count all that much. So I don't know. I really like that approach, to be honest. Look at that bubble. That was absolutely nuts from Spews getting the 2-tap on the right-hand side. Beautiful stuff as they are up by 2 sets and only need 1 more to close things out and go to the international playoffs.
Again, the same situation has occurred, same damage almost, but the kills always going towards the side of Noble Elite. They just know when to make the push and when to do it well and clean, and it seems to be that case every single time. Shinobu Dribblers, they are doing their best to show, execute their style, but when you've got someone with the same style but can also adapt very quickly, it's so difficult. And this could be the final set. We are going to go for a bit of heist on safe zone. We're not going to have any more chatter. We are going to go straight into it, Teddy, and we're going to find out if Noble Elites can close this series out in a nice, convincing fashion, or Shinobu Dribblers can show a bit of life here.
Yeah, they certainly need to perform. So far, a bit of a lead for Noble Elite once more. Casio low HP, gonna get taken out by Life Pool, but that does mean that Casio has a super available. That's always some nice damage on safe that can be available, or some help to close down some kills. Good snipes from Null22. Once again, we're seeing a lot of Piper on the side of Noble Elite, despite Bell being available. Definitely a very curious choice, but so far it just seems to be working consistently.
Yeah, Trick there, he should have got taken down much earlier, but did so much damage after Life Pool. Made a few missed shots here and there, but he made up for it by being on cleanup duty later on. Gets taken down by Nold and Castillo on that right lane, trying to do what he can with Colette, but it doesn't matter. Castillo does take Spruce down eventually, and Hero just trying to pull him back from that Stu. But Trick's already done a fair amount of damage. It's still 100 to 35%. Shinobu Dribblers have taken so much damage, and do you know what, actually, Teddy? They've barely been inside the middle part of the map. They've been on the defense the entire time, just due to the fact that so much pressure is coming from Noble Elite.
Yeah, great stuff from Noble Elite. Have a very solid lead and their chance to close things out, get to match point, and get closer to those playoffs. Trick, low HP up close, does get a couple of tanks down before falling. Spews is able to get another super down, get Hero low HP. Life Pool with a kill on the right hand side. Is gonna take a bit of damage and play it more slowly, but Trick, none of that, just dashes in and takes down Hero.
What more can you do, eh? 30 seconds left, 75 to the 29% of Chernobyl Dribbler's Trick. Is just still, to make matters worse, 40 HP, barely missing a couple of those shots from the likes of Nord and Hero. But Trick's just gone around the back of him. Do you know what? I still haven't got much health, but I still can get round to you guys and try and finish off the job. I'm not sure if he managed to. I think he did get cleaned up in the end eventually. But again, look at the damage count. 30% to the 1%. The Chernobyl Dribbler's one more hit should do it. And you saw Hero was actually trying to let him do it, but it doesn't matter anyway. But yeah, it was a 1%, but it doesn't matter. 29% deficit, as you saw there, the likes of Noble Elites continue their trend and tradition of potentially another 3-0 sweep in the series, and it's going to be match point for them.
Yeah, they only need one more game to close out this series, close out the group stage for their part, and move on to the playoffs. I mean, I don't see a comeback happening, Lethal. I'm going to be completely honest. So far, Chernobyl Dribblers, they haven't really challenged Noble Elite all that much. Like, we had some moments here and there, but I don't think they've picked up a single game, have they?
Nope, I don't think they have either. And even if they did, I would have remembered it, because it would stick out like a sore thumb if they've won at least one game. I don't know, Matt. Yeah, I'm going to echo exactly what you said. I completely agree. I feel like I've not really seen anything in their structure which makes me think like, well, they might stand a chance, or any ingredients there which made me think, well, they might edge it in any way. I just feel like it doesn't matter what map or mode it is. The only thing they can do is have their strongest mode and maybe play a map which is on the ladder and not a competitive pool. I feel like that's the only way they can even stand a chance. But if they still can't walk out of here with at least a game win, even with all those advantages, then it's pretty much it. They're probably already thinking about the decider match at this point, but especially, when you're match pointing, still got to win 3 sets back to back. It's a tall order, a big ask, and rightly so. We thought Noble Elites was statistically going to take this series, but not by this margin. We thought maybe they'll drop a set and then it should be fine, but we'll see what happens going here into this potentially the final game in set number 3.
Yeah, let's find out. As so far, we have a 2% lead for Chernobyl Dribblers, but how consistently can they keep getting that sort of damage? Noble Lead in a position to start catching up. A couple of missed shots over there. Hero is going to make it out alive. Is able to get some nice damage on Spews. That's a great kill, and so far the start is pretty solid on the side of Chernobyl Dribblers.
Yeah, much better than we expected. We also heard the save that, they need to really completely change things and how much it's going to be a big ask. But yeah, we'll see. Still early on as of yet. Live Pool in the middle of the map, just doing a nice chunk of damage towards that save. Now down to 31% to Noble Elite's 69. His Hero's just flanking round to that center side to catch him, which he has done. And Castillo's just trying to do a little bit more damage of his own, just another 12%, just to try and even out as much as they can. As Trick is trying to push on very far forward, and like what Trick did, they didn't push any further forward, just waiting for Livepool to come back with that pipe to push the set to half, as only on 10%, 4% left now, and literally it could say it's delaying the inevitable. There's still only one bit left, but there you go. You saw the Chernobyl Dribblers pretty much knew that it was pretty much done and dusted. They need at least 2 or 3 team wipes in order to even fight back and try and take back that game. But congratulations again to Noble Elites for taking that series 3-0. We will be seeing them in the international finals, but it's not over yet for the side of Chernobyl Dribblers. We'll be seeing them again on the Friday for the decider match to determine if they will go to the international finals too.
Yeah, solid performance on their end. Honestly, a much deserved win, and that does mean that we will see Noble Elite Kuroko at the playoffs between the 25th and 30th of May. So not that far from there at this point, but we still got some more days of this second round of the group stage, as well as the decider matches on Friday. So every single day this week, expect some amazing Brawl Stars content on the Gamestars channel.
Yeah, we've got a huge amount, and it's still going to continue on all week and all next week. As you can see, just a little bit of a recap from that last set. Noble Elite again, maybe getting out damaged, but definitely showing up for the kills in terms of how clean they were. And Chernobyl Dribblers, I think there's going to be a lot for them to talk about. It was way too one-sided for them to discuss exactly what they want to do going into their decider match, because I feel like it was just not just 1 or 2 or a handful of mistakes. It was literally another Christmas or shopping list of mistakes which needs to be rectified, and it might just be their style of play. It might just be the fact that one little thing can make a massive impact to their gameplay. There's a lot they're gonna have to talk about here. I know they're not gonna be too pleased. Maybe they expected this. I'm not really too sure, considering the circumstances of how much they know about Noble Elite. But I'd be interested to see what the guys on Chernobyl Dribblers have to say. We will have an interview with them very shortly to discuss exactly how their day's been and how they feel about going to the decider match later on. But Noble Elite's looking very, very good. I'm excited to see how they do against the other teams.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm excited to see them playing in the playoffs, seeing the top teams that they will be facing off. Obviously, for Chernobyl Dribblers, it's not the end of the journey either. They still got a decider match coming up on Friday against Unima Gaming. So 2 teams that haven't played against each other yet. So quite exciting to see how that one is going to turn out as well. So it
will be indeed. I don't think I want to bring up this series to Chernobyl Dribblers in a bit. I think we might pretend that series never existed, but they do need to watch back exactly on what occurred. Yeah, like we discussed earlier, damage-wise, barely any difference, 6,000, but 32 more kills pretty much says it all there. And in terms of the border picks, pretty standard. Nice to see the Bell fonts appear here, just due to the fact that she wasn't banned, but they've seen the Colette and the Piper, Max, etc., as well as the Tick and of course, everything else. So, and of course, it's a Gene. But yeah, so far, Chernobyl Drivers needs to work out what to do with the damage they're dealing. Obviously, the support's fair. It's just a matter of why they're not, forcing out the situation more often. Maybe there is opportunities for them to push up or something else. Maybe it's something a little bit more complicated or more complex than we expected. But I'm excited to see how they feel about the situation. But actually, funny enough, Teddy, we have an interview. It's all ready. We are going to be joined by Hero from Chernobyl Dribblers to see what he has to say. Hero, nice to see you again. Nice to speak to you. I don't know what to say. I don't know if I should say congratulations for making it to the decider match or commiserations for not winning the winners match, but we are going to see you again on Friday, so that's it's pretty much set in stone. But how do you feel anyway going into the decider match?
Hello, I think that we played really good the first match, but the second match Castillo was not in voice chat and the communication was kind of sus, and yes, I'm excited for the next week.
Yeah, no, it should be exciting stuff. Still got plenty of time to go through and so many matches to play through anyway. So obviously we will see you again on the Friday. And Teddy, I just want to know if you've got a question you want to ask Hero in terms of what he thinks about his upcoming match, etc.
Yeah, for sure. What do you guys think that you need to work on the most before the decider matches on Friday? Because obviously, even against Module 7, you guys had some moments where it was not exactly going right either. Is there anything like particular where you guys know like we got to work on this before the decider matches?
Yes, I think that we should screen the maps for the next phase because right now I have matriculation exams and I'm busy and we can't scream. We had like 0 screams this week. We have to prepare the maps and the comps.
Yeah, I'm hoping that exactly. Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. Hopefully, when we see you in the decider match, you'll be a lot more practiced and a lot more ready for your decider match to qualify for the international finals. But last question from me anyway. I want to ask you about your first match earlier on. What changes did you make? Because against Module 7, like the first set you did really well. You seemed to be a lot more convincing in terms of your skill set in comparison. But Module 7 seemed to be able to read you quite well in the second and third set, and they're on 4 match points. Is there anything in particular which you guys changed in terms of your style of play, or was it the maps the most? Is there anything in particular which you rectified in order to make sure that you could win that series?
Especially in the gym group where we played Minecart Madness, we were waiting for the minecart to push so we can get control with the Sandy Super, but sometimes it was unlucky and they pushed us behind the minecart and we were trapped. I think that we played really good like a team, and come back like it was 2-1, and we got the decider match.
Yeah, it should be very exciting stuff indeed. We know that you will be playing against Unima Gaming later on in the decider match on the Friday. But I'm going to say congratulations anyway. At least you're not out yet. You do have your decider match on Friday to determine if you will qualify for international finals. But well done anyway, mate. And then we'll see you very soon. We'll see you on Friday.
Goodbye, see you.
There we go. That's Hero from Chernobyl Dribblers. I do feel like he's, you can hear at the end, he's quite just relieved with the fact that he's still in and has still managed to progress further. And the fact that I've been a little bit worried for Unima Gaming, because if they've gone in with like 0 scrims and not really that much practice, because Hero and the boys have actually been able to, get this far, just due to the fact that a lot of them are very busy, that's a lot of things to talk about. That just shows that they've been relying a lot more on their fundamentals and mechanics of, the game in general. So we will see them inside a match on the Friday. But, in terms of what you think, Teddy, it will be an interesting matchup between both of those teams. But Unima Gaming better be prepared if Chernobyl Dribblers will actually be able to put a bit more effort and practicing compared to today.
Yeah, I completely agree. Especially since then it's only going to be 1 match. They'll know exactly against who they will be playing. There will, be no surprises regarding that. So if they do their homework, they can get a big advantage if their opponents don't. So always do your homework, always scrim the maps you are about to play, so you can just, at least be as prepared as possible, right? Sure, if your opponent's prepared just as much, and it's going to be an even game. But if they don't, you automatically have an advantage. So it's always important to just do your homework, look at VODs, look at what you can improve, but also look at what your opponents like to play, do some more opponent-specific research, and yeah, come prepared to those matches and go kick some butts. All right, with that being said, this is about to be the end of our show for today, the end of Group A. Lito, do you have any closing remarks?
No, that's it for me. I think it's just been a great start to the day. Nice to see pretty much every set go to a nail biter. The second match of the day was just ridiculous to say the least. Obviously, commiseration to Module 7. But Chernobyl Dribblers, they put on an outstanding performance. And we wrote them off literally like halfway through the series and still came back like that. Just magnificent stuff from them. I look forward to the side of match between Unum and Gamer. But no, that's it for me. Teddy, again, thank you very much for being by my side, as always, holding my hands. But not only that, thanks to everyone in production and you guys at home watching. So we'll see you very soon. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.